You're the scum of the earth also. You go into a third world country to take advantage of somebody that you know don't have it, and they only behaving like this because they have nothing. I don't respect people like that. I think that is the low of lows because you can't get this here, so you're gonna go over there and feel like a fake king. A real king, he doesn't have to leave his village to become a king.
Wow.
A real queen don't have to leave her village to become a queen. I could stay. You're supposed to be able to stay in your village and get treated like the king or the queen that you believe that you truly are.
Yeah, but what's the difference between men or whoever flying to Miami and renting the flyest cars, and getting in the flyest car? Because it's the same thing. Like you don't got to go to Colombia to do that, fellas. You can go right there in Miami. You can go right to Long Beach or the North Carolina. You see them doing it all over. I don't think it's just flying out of the country. I think people do that in real life, men and women.
But there are people in America right now who don't have anything just because they don't want to have anything. There are people in third world countries who don't have anything because they don't have the opportunity.
No, I'm not talking about the people there. I'm talking about the people who are doing it.
No, I'm just saying this. There are people in third world countries they don't have because they don't have the opportunity to have. So therefore, those people are people I've sympathized for. I feel bad. Because they're talented, if they're given an opportunity. That's why third world country people come here and do so well in America because all they needed was an opportunity.
Yeah, but you weren't talking about the people. You're saying the people who do it. So I'm saying to you, you don't have to go to a third world country to do that. If you're trying to impress, there are a lot of men and women that do things outside of their means to impress people right here in the U.S. Then everybody is not flying out. So there's no you don't need to waste a whole plane ticket to go do that.
We bring that all back to the children when it's time for prom, when it's time for graduation, when it's time for C16.
The proms are weddings now. They're weddings.
So many, exactly, but there's so many parents who don't have.
I swear my son gonna ask for his prom on a plane because this is getting out of control.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. And to my left, my diabolical
Why is there always such a pause
co-host.
when you introduce me? Hi, guys.
Mrs. Jones. And to my right, my sister. You know, I love this lady right here. Alicia's in the building. Monique.
Hello.
We're gonna have some fun, guys. Let me just give you a little background. This woman right here to my right is a woman I value very much. We have great conversations. I confide in her about a lot of different strong topics that a lot of people will get very offended on. And she is very, very prolific in her stance and her responses. And one thing about it is she's not biased. So I'm just letting you guys know I definitely bring y'all people that can give you different perspectives. So today, we're gonna have some fun, guys. So I'm asking both of y'all, whoever wanna take the floor first, has parenting changed?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Why though?
Because it's just like the educational system, right? The educational system has changed because there were a bunch of people who didn't like what happened when they were in school. So when they got in place, they changed the rules and made it more comfortable for them. Wow. So that's the same thing with parenting. Some of us didn't like how our parents treated us, what they did not allow us to do, and made that vow that when I become a parent, I'm never going to do that with my child. Now, there's some things we disagree with our parents, but at the heart of it, there was a foundation that was given to us for most of us. Yeah. Now, if your parent was out in the streets and whatever, and you decided you wanted to do something different, I give you that.
Yes.
But parenting has definitely changed, and you have to look at even down to children going outside.
Yes.
You could drive through a neighborhood right now, you're not going to see children outside. Why? Because they don't go outside.
Yes.
And nobody is making them go outside. Like, I remember growing up, after a certain time, after we eating breakfast, my grandmother, my mother, go outside, go play, go. And that was community, right? Because now everybody is getting up at one house or going somewhere, riding their bikes. You're not seeing kids doing that anymore.
Outside.
And we're allowing the devices, real talk, they babysit us and they're babysitting our children.
100%.
So parenting has definitely changed, and that we have to kind of get back to or reevaluate or look at, well, what was the fundamentals?
Agreed.
If you had a problem with something, at least look at the fundamentals to parenting.
Agreed.
And say, okay, how can we get back to that? How can I get back and enhance that? And in my opinion, is reestablishing community.
I agree. What do you think about that, Shay?
I agree with her. To add to what she's saying, I think also now we have a lot of babies having babies. And I think they just also don't know how to parent. I think we're promoting teenage pregnancies. We have shows for it.
1000%.
Teen moms. And I think it really exemplifies like what we're showing our kids and what we're teaching our kids. Like, it's okay if you want to, be a teen mom. We support it. We will help you through it.
Yeah.
And, if you don't know how to parent, you don't know how to parent. I do think that we're not, some of us aren't instilling the same values as our parents instilled.
Yes.
I know as growing up in a Caribbean household, my parents were strict as hell. Like, I didn't get away with anything. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a lot of those. Like, it's either we're repeating the same patterns that our parents taught us, or for some of us, we just drifting off. Like she said, you know what? My mother didn't allow me to do this, so I'm going to allow my child to do that,
Yes.
And again, the internet is raising our kids, and social media is raising our kids, and the video games are raising our kids.
Yes.
So it's just a lot different now.
You know, the scariest thing is I think that a lot of parents don't see that they're giving their children things they never had, but they're not teaching the children the things that they never knew. So when I'm looking at a lot of parents and I'm like, damn, you are pouring into your children the materialism, you're pouring into your children the look, but opposed to the knowledge that you didn't have. So for instance, I might say, oh, my mother didn't teach me how to deal with money, but then you fast forward, you become a parent, you don't teach your children money, you teach them the same mentality moving on to the next generation. And ultimately, it's basically the blind leading the blind again, because it's like, now it costs more. The other day I told a guy, we was having a conversation, and I told him, I said, if our grandfather gave us a house, we would have had an easier starting point. And then I said, then we got another generation. My father gave me a house, I would have had an easier starting point. I said, but I refuse to be the one that don't stop and say, I'm not going to give my children a house to give them an easier starting point. But not only with giving them a better starting point, I want to also give them a better mentality about money opposed to where I come from. Like, where I come from, it was always about looking like you're in a better position than you actually are, ultimately pretending to be something you actually not. And then what I do realize what that is, you're basically not fixing the insecurity, you're actually intensifying the insecurity, because you're not fixing it, So what do y'all feel about that? Anybody can take it.
Well, I want to go back to what Shay said about teen pregnancies, because you really hit on something, and it brings me back to baby showers, right? Okay. Growing up, baby showers were only for the women. You weren't finding children in the baby showers. Baby showers were taking place right in the living room. We was, it was a community event in a sense, right? Yes. But now you're seeing these teen pregnancies, having these elaborate baby showers, mini weddings and everything like that. And then half of the time, people who are showing up, they're other teens. They're not bringing nothing. Everybody coming in to take pictures, to eat, to drink, to party, right? And so now you spend all this money, and probably some of the families don't even have the money to really afford this event, but they want to look like it, right? That they threw this party, and you end up in a space where you're more in debt than where you needed to be over some Pampers and diapers and wipes that you were hoping to get, when you could have saved that money to do that very thing. Agreed. I think we have become a culture of flash, right? And it ties into what you're saying, because I think we all had that growing up, that what happens in this house stays in this house. So that's why even if we poor, we don't go outside and look like we poor. Yes. Right? And if we don't have to look like we don't have. I get it to a certain extent, because you don't want people to feel bad for you. There's nothing wrong with empathy. Yes. But you don't want people to feel bad for you and misunderstand your circumstance. Yes. And you also want people to teach you, right? So to your point, if you didn't learn about money, and then you have children, not only should you make sure your child learn, take the time to learn about it too. I agree. Right. I agree. And that's the problem. We're not really fixing the system if we're bypassing ourselves. You acknowledge that this is a deficit, but you never did the work to fix it. I agree. So it's the same thing as hurt people, broken people continue to break people, because 100%. Nobody is breaking. You can't fully break the stigma by saying, okay, I didn't know, so I'm going to make sure my child knows. Yeah. But you still have time to learn. 100%. And I think that's the part of the problem, is people feel like they don't want to learn. They feel like, well, and they tie it into the age, or they say, I've lived a life, so I don't need to learn. Yes. I 100,000% disagree. 100% also do. And I feel like our parents sometimes look for that excuse, because now we're parents. Yes. And they feel like they don't need to learn. No, there's some things you still need to catch up on. It's scary, because I'm not gonna lie. Like when I sit down and listen to like people that look like you and I,
It's scary having certain conversations because either I find the very selfish are the ones that overly coddle to the point where they create monsters. It's like, I'm like, where's the healthy balance? When you look at it, like, I'm like, you're a mother, you're a father. These children need balance. They need to understand that, okay, you have to earn, but I'm willing to help. You know, I'm not willing to give when you didn't earn. I watch kids go to school, and, you know, she's a dean of students. She understands where I'm going with this. I see children go to school with brand new shoes and brand new clothes on, and they failing. And I'm like, this is crazy. I do believe that every school should be like where you at. I think every school should have on uniforms, for one. And the reason why I say that is because I think bullying is really heavy in schools that have individuality when it comes to clothes. I do believe that everyone should look the same.
Yeah,
so
more
therefore,
structured.
yes, it's more structured. So they can remove all that extra bullying that comes with not fitting in financially as far as looking. Go ahead, Tyler.
And also, not just bullying, but like self-esteem, insecurities, you know? It's like, it's not a comparison thing of, oh, I look better than you. We all have to interact with each other without looking at clothes, without being happy because you got on Jordans. No, we have on the same outfit, so we have to use our brains. No insecurity.
But if
and the focus would be more on education. Because growing up, I had to wear uniforms. I went to school in Jamaica. And then when I moved here, when I moved to Brooklyn, it became a thing of who's dressed like this. And if you weren't wearing a certain, you know, back then it was like Tommy Hilfiger and DKNY. You didn't have this on. Let me see your tag. And it was like, what's going on? I came from a culture where it was like, we all dress the same and we had to do the work. Now it's just like, you know what? We got to look fly. Who cares if you fail or not? You look good doing it, you know? So
I ain't gonna lie. In high school, in middle school, for me, it was a fashion show. I'm not gonna lie. We worked, like, I worked all summer just to get school clothes. And I cared about how I was gonna look on the first day. 100%, I'm about to crush them. But
for those who grew up in outside of that culture, do you feel like a lot of parents, that's what they're focused on now? Because I remember telling you that I had a friend that worked for a college, and she would say, worked for Nassau Community College, and she would say you would have a lot of these black parents and children come up, and they would have to drop classes because they couldn't afford the tuition. But these kids and parents were dressed to the T, like designer, everything. But you can't afford to take. I got to drop this class while I'm taking out, you know, my Louis Vuitton wallet out of my Louis Vuitton bag, and my kid is wearing Balenciaga sneakers, but I can't afford the $300 for the credit.
And that's something as a dean, but as a mom, a teen mom, and I was just saying this to Q, that I realized that I don't care about those things. Her academics is first and foremost for me, because as a only parent, people are going to look for her to fall right away. So I don't play that. But I recognize now that she's in middle school, especially in an urban area, I have to kind of shift a little bit and kind of give in. I don't want to, but I have to, because
your raised different.
The kids are mean, right? But at the same notion, when I have to call a parent and say, your child is out of uniform, it's a fight, right? And the thing is, the uniform policy says black sneakers. It didn't say Jordans that are yellow and black, purple and blue, the new this and that. None of that is relevant. And so I have to sometimes sit my students down and say, but your mother bought that, not you. So you clowning somebody else over something that you don't even have a bank account or debit card or anything to purchase it yourself. So I have to always have those what I call humbling conversations to remind them, because, you know, I didn't realize I was bullied until I became an adult. Because it wasn't a term that we knew. We talked about. It was just kids being kids. And it developed my personality to get a little, I'm not tolerating it. And it got to the point where I had to really like rein back. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the topic. It all goes back to home. Parents instill these things into their kids.
100%.
You can't I'm not knocking nobody for living where they live, right? Because sometimes everything's a stepping stone. But if you don't have, you don't have. And we have to get out of this idea that, okay, well, you're only important if you have a pair of Jordans. Michael Jordan doesn't care anything about us.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. And if I'm being honest with you, he's not entitled to. Because if we're not going to do the work, if he gives us the money, are we going to do the right thing with the money to build? No, we're not. So that's why he's not doing that investment. You know, we're always looking for people to come back to the community and save us. But if they gave us the account to say build versus giving us the money, we'll beef over the account, but 100%. We just want the money. So it all goes back to home and what we're teaching our children, what we're instilling in our children, the conversations. You were talking about the clothes, Tyler, but at the end of the day, we have to tell our children we love them. We have to be the first ones to say you are intelligent. We have to now don't get them thinking they are
Albert Einstein.
Because that may not be the case, but tell them who they are first.
100%.
So when they step out into the world and they hear something that doesn't align with what their parent is telling them, as long as it's wholesome.
Yes.
Nurturing and affirmations and belief, we have to do it. And that's why, like, sometimes it's bad parenting because it's not even existent. We have some people, and I'm saying I'm losing it loosely because I don't want to talk at somebody. And I think that's what Shay was saying. Want to make sure we're not talking at somebody.
Yeah.
But we have to stop being our kids' friends.
Yes.
We have to just literally be adults, right? Because at the end of the day, our responsibility is to create and instill productive human beings into the world. And for me, I'm probably going to go back to school to get a doctorate and everything, and all these things, because I don't know if I trust the next generation to carry me, carry the world.
You know something scary, though? The other day, I was in my shop, and one of the ladies, the mother, she came in, and her son was sitting in the shop. She goes, what do you want to eat? And I was like, damn, don't you give him what you want to give him? And you know they taste palates at this point. You know, that's your child, right? So I said, okay, you go get him a burger and fries and call it a day. No. She drives to McDonald's, get him French fries. She drives to Burger King, get him a burger. And then she drives to Wendy's to get him nuggets. Then she comes, sits in front of my shop. And she gave all three of these things to this kid. And when I looked at her, and I said to her, I said, Miss, can I ask you something? She said, what? I said, he's going to be very, very, very hard to satisfy later in life because you've done so much that he's going to feel very entitled to women doing the same exact thing for him. And she said, I disagree. And I said, this is the problem with when a man is telling you how you're trying to create a man. I said, this guy doesn't know no struggle. He's only made it so easy for him. I said, but let me tell you something. She said, what? I said, he's expecting the world to give him the same thing. And then she looked at me and she said, elaborate on that. I said, here's the problem. He's going to feel very entitled. He's going to feel very, very... And if he does do well in school, he will never get the corner office because he's not going to have that self-awareness of himself that I can do this myself. He's going to always look for someone to constantly do it for him. And that's what I see with a lot of men these days. A lot of them, they don't have that sense of urgency because they feel like the world is supposed to be empathetic and sorry for them. And I'm like, but again, the reason why it's true is because of a lot of them come from situations that taught that this is normal. Exactly. Because I'm seeing grown, my mother always said to me, I'm gonna raise you once, so I ain't gotta raise you twice. And when I was younger, I didn't understand what she meant by that. But now that I'm a father, I'm raising my children once, so I don't have to raise them twice. I don't want to coddle my son and teach him that the world is, I'm raising a big black male, right? So understanding that in itself, I have to be mindful. Yes, I may love my son beyond, but the reality is the world is not going to love him the way I love him. So I have to teach him that you have to love you more than I could even love you. So therefore, you want the best for yourself and understanding that you need to learn your own strengths so you can pick yourself up when you do fall, right? As a mother, what do you feel when you go through sometimes as a mother with dealing with that kind of situation?
I mean, we already spoke about this where I told you both of my kids, I definitely took a different approach. I think my oldest, who's going to be 13 on Saturday, I definitely did start off with a soft approach. You know, that was my first child. I was going to baby him. I was going to give him everything that I think, you know, he needed, which was just what I wanted to do. I did the elaborate first birthday party and had everything going. And it just felt like the right thing to do because, you know, whatever I didn't have, he was going to get because I could afford it. So he was entitled to it. He was going to get it. And I quickly realized that his attitude showed me exactly the kind of child I was raising, that he was entitled to it and that now he's entitled to everything else. And I definitely kind of saw where I was going with that kind of parenting. I'm not going to say he has completely changed, but things have definitely changed. You know, my second child, who's going to be 9, is the total opposite because he didn't get yes all the time. The no came so quick for him that he just was like, okay, whatever. Like he just knows what it is, you know? So I definitely do agree with that. And I can say that I was guilty of that. That in some sense, I feel like I still am as a mom. There, you know, with Q, I'm not driving to 3 different fast food places. That's a fact. But I do ask my kids sometimes, what do you want to eat? I don't really look at my parents did that. My grandmother did that. Like we all ate something different. Growing up as a woman with like a terrible stomach, I'm in the gastro every 6 months. So I know sometimes people just don't like certain things. So if I'm able to offer you 2 or 3 options and I say out of these 2 or 3, what would you like?
100%.
I'm certainly not going to McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King and all of that. That's crazy.
To complete a meal.
Right. I'm not doing to complete a whole meal for you. We could pick either or. I'll drive to one of them and that's it. But I feel like to say I never coddled, I'd be lying. I'm being very transparent that I did do that with my first. And in some sense, I feel like I still do with certain things where it's like, you know what, if it's easier to just, I don't want to say let them have, but I do reward certain things. Like I think my child goes to school, he's on, he's in the honor society. Yeah. He's maintained high honor roll for the longest. He's a great athlete. He's supposed to. Like he does a lot of things. So if he comes to me sometimes and says, Mom, can I have this game? And he is supposed to. Okay. But I feel like it's okay to give something for that as a reward, to show it's like you work hard at your job, you get a promotion, you may get a raise. I'm not sending him to school to fail, but the fact that he does well, I want to also reward him because I think encouragement strengthens labor. And that's just the thing for me.
The thing is, like when you look at like children, like for instance, your children, they don't come from an environment where it's so much noise that I'm rewarding him for being such a very disciplined person in an environment that's very bad.
Right.
They come from an environment where it's very, very quiet. And the noise is usually them, right? So reality is, I'm not really impressed because I know the mother and the father of him. So I'm not really impressed because I expect it. I'm going to be honest with you. I think as parents, we also have to have standards. And we got to say, this is a standard. Like my son working hard, my son being in college, my son being responsible with his bills, that's a standard. Right. Just like they have standards for us as parents. Imagine if you twerked in front of your son. He would pass out, right? That's his standard. Yeah. So my standard for my son is I expect you to get good grades. I expect you to be disciplined. I expect you to be militant. I expect what I'm giving you is the platform to do it. So if you don't do it, I can't see you. I
agree. You can expect, and I do think, of course, we have expectations of our children academically and just in general, but I do think that, again, you can reward good behavior, good accomplishments. It's like in school, you do well, that's what the honor roll is for. How does it look when my kid comes home? Well, you were supposed to get that. Yeah, I expected you to get that, but I want to push you to keep doing more. And I'm not saying you always have to buy expensive things and nice things, but I think it's okay to, you know what I mean? I wish my mom, again, growing up Caribbean, I'm sure you can relate. We were expected to do that. When I did things, my mom never really said. If I got an 85, it was like, oh, but you could have got that 90 or that 95. It's like I never felt like enough was enough. And I don't want my kids to grow up with that insecurity, feeling like when they've done their best and pushed their hardest, I'm still telling them that they didn't do enough. You know, my little one, I started him on tutoring now once a week that he's out of school. He doesn't like it because he's in camp and it's like, why do I need tutoring? But I know that academically he struggles a little bit more. So I want to give him a head start when he goes back to school. So I pay the $70 an hour because what? I didn't even know tutoring was that expensive to help to kickstart him because I just feel like that would benefit him. But when he comes home with a 75, there are times where he's like, Mom, I tried. And for me, it's like, who am I to say you didn't do good? Maybe that was his push. You know, maybe that was his, you know what? Let's go get some McDonald's now. And he's so excited because for him, that's 75, he earned it. Where my oldest, a 75, he'd have been crying till tomorrow, like so disappointed in himself. He's so hard on himself, you know, but
I want to commend you though, because I'm going to be honest with you, and I know you know this a lot too. A lot of parents do compare their children, and I respect the fact that you aren't. You're letting them be their individual selves and you accepting them for their individual selves. Because I'm not going to lie, growing up, a lot of times people compare me to my brother. And I know that built a lot of resentment in him because of the fact that I got education a lot easier than he did. And a lot of times I can see it in him because he was very frustrated because they always would say something like, your brother this and your brother, and I'm younger than him. See, it's the opposite with you and your sons. I'm older, I'm younger than him, and I can see it. And I'm like, damn, like, you know, why you don't listen to your brother? And I'm like, yo, it built a lot of hate for me when it comes from him. Because of them, the way they kept, because I told them, I said multiple ways to learn, multiple ways to skin a cat. Some people learn hands-on. Some people can read a book and learn. Some people got to be taught. Some people got to see it. People learn different. And I'm like, the problem is schools have taught us that you're not intelligent if you can't remember a curriculum. And that's not true. You know, I've met some of the dumbest educated people I've ever met in my life. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, you must got a photographic memory, but when it come to life, you got a brain of a fool. Like, I'm like, damn, like you got a degree? And I sit down and talk with them. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Remember the therapist? They said she got her degree from Timo. And I'm like, you a whole therapist. And because again, she also doesn't have the life experience. She has no life experience. So like one
That's
thing.
a whole nother conversation, but okay.
But
Timo.
Wait, did we find out she doesn't have a degree? Is that
no,
a thing?
she has a degree, but what it is she doesn't have the life experience. See, what makes a person balance is when they have book smarts, they have life smarts, they have street smarts. All of those things are necessary with building a person. I don't want my, like, I remember one time one of my boys, he lived out in a very nice town in Long Island, right? And I met him from just passing. We met, we got close. He's never been in the hood, ever. One day I took him to Jamaica Avenue and he came running. I'm like, yo, what's going on? He running like, yo, we out, we gotta go. So I'm like, what's going on? Jamaica Avenue, for those who don't know, is a place where a lot of clothes and jewelry was sold, whether fake or real, but it was sold over there, right? It was a very popular place in Queens, New York.
I got
right?
about 20 tattoos there.
So we all know Jamaica Avenue. If you're from New York, you know Jamaica Avenue very well. But watch this though. So he came running around the corner. So I'm nervous. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Yo, we gotta go. So we rushed to go get in the car. I'm nervous. I don't know what the hell is going on. He pulls out some chains. So I started laughing. I started laughing, right? So I said, what's so funny? He said, I know what happened. I said, they got you. He said, they got me with what? I said, all those chains are fake, brother. I said, they sold you a bunch of fake chains. He's like, nah, these are real. I said, bro, they're not real. And sure enough, he was like, I'm telling you, I bought each chain. He bought each chain for $50, right? So we went around the corner to another jeweler because he was so adamant about being real. I said, I'm gonna show you they fake. We went into the jeweler. The jeweler goes, they're fake. And he was like, damn, what happened? No, I like it. Yeah. I said, you got beat because again, he doesn't have that street smarts. Very, 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 I'm talking about PhD, very book smart as anything, but no common sense and no comprehension. He's not even self-aware when he's in rooms. He doesn't even see it. Like he doesn't see. And at first I used to get mad at him, but it's not intentional. It's like he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't see that he's socially awkward. He doesn't see it. I'm like, bro, you act weird, but I can't tell him that. What I do is I just try to build his confidence in the street world. You know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't see it. Good, what you got? What you about to say? I want you to elaborate too on you hit a point a minute ago, and it was a valid point when we were talking about you said something in the nature of, I want you to talk about, it's something you just said a minute ago that I was like, I need you to go more into that. But go ahead, I'm gonna remember.
So a lot was said just now, and I connected to all. I've been in the school system 20 years. It'll be 20 years next month. And I've seen all types of situations. I've talked to all types of parents, but I'm also a clinical social work intern. And a lot of times when I talk to families, when I talk to students, when I even talk to teachers, the reality is our kids lack conflict resolution skills. Our kids lack communication skills. Our kids lack a lot of things. But then what happens is when an issue happens in school, the parent is like, oh, that's on y'all because it was during your business hours. But at the end of the day, they are products of you.
Yes,
You're sending them to school. So if they can't have a conversation, that means somebody's not having a conversation at home.
100%.
Right? And then when you're taking them out into the world, instead of like making them interact with people, they're sitting on a device to the side.
Yep.
And so just for instance, for me, Shay, my daughter just turned 13 as well. So we in the same club. Q, when he first met my daughter, he couldn't believe the way that she was talking because I don't play that. I'm not raising a child who doesn't know how to speak and not to speak up for herself and not to engage with people because at the end of the day, when I'm not around, I need to know that she is handling her own and advocating for herself. And people are always, oh, she is so respectful and da-da-da-da. And sometimes at home, I stress out because she's not, I be like, yo, you hitting a button with me. But to know that when she's not around me and she's representing me the right way, that means I can give myself that gold star, that pat in the back and say, okay, I'm doing the right job. Also, when it comes to Shay, I'm 50-50 with you as well. Like, not 50-50. I agree with you as well at the rewards when it comes to their work because while I wasn't raised in a Caribbean household, I was raised in a Southern household.
Very, very similar, just so we know that.
Right.
And
very
my
similar.
grandmother was like, I would come home with a 90 and she'd be like, but that's what I sent you to school for. And to me, it was just like, well, okay, what do I need to do to get that pat in the back? Now, as an adult, I actually don't look for it. I don't look for that acknowledgement because when I wake up in the morning, when I turn my car off, when I pull to work, I know who I am when I walk in that building. I know my worth. I know what I'm bringing to the table. So just in case I don't get that pat in the back, I'm good. But I also understand that you do have to empower your children. You have to empower your children. You have to empower. Do not allow the world to be the first person to say you're great. Do not always let that football coach or that dance teacher to say you have potential.
Yes.
Yes. When you sign them up and you tell them why you're signing them, like, you know what? You might not be the best, but this is going to help you build your skills.
Yes.
We have to be able to really empower our children with our words, with our actions. And I get it. A lot of us did not have it, but the quickest way to break that generational curse is just to do it.
100%.
Like, I think we get so caught up, we handicap generational curses. I literally get tired of hearing it sometimes because it's like, if you're not gonna be the change, shut up.
I want to ask both of y'all something. You know something weird? Growing up, my mom was quick to tell me how expensive something was and how she ain't got it. I think more parents now lie and pretend as if they do. That's the one thing I do see that's changed a lot. Like, my mom would be like, I can't afford that. Like, blunt. My mother would be like, we're not buying that. That's no.
Yep.
That's not in the.
Don't touch it. Don't look at it.
My mother would
It's
say
not
that
coming
straight
home.
up. Like, now I feel like parents feel like very they feel like less than if they can't, or it's just not be the time for it, right? I've seen kids, like, growing up, I've never seen a black kid throw himself on the floor, cry and get what he want. Now I see black kids throw themselves on the floor and get what they want. I'm like, wow, my mother would have DDT'd me, right? Woke me up and then DDT'd me again. I'm just being honest with you. I would have been in the gate. I would have been walking to heaven right
You
then and
ain't see
there.
that kid on Instagram? His mother broke his phone and he beat her up.
Yes.
Black kid beat up his mother, was hitting his mother with a pot too.
Yep.
With the pot.
But you want to know something though? And at that moment, I'll be honest with you, she realized the importance of masculine energy, because I would have broke him up. My son is bigger than me. My son, no, I don't play that. Right. My son is bigger than me. And look what I say, my son is like 6'2", 6'3". My son is bigger than me. And he know foot and rump. What? Because I'm gonna tell you something. Fear is the ultimate way, because fear turns to respect. Because they start understanding why you did it. The children, when you're younger, they have to fear you, but not fear you to the point where they feel they can't come to you.
Right.
That's weird. That means you overly doing it.
Yeah.
There has to be a healthy balance in anything you do. But fear starts off, and then the fear. Like, remember Martin did a joke when he said, I ran up to my kid's crib and was like, who you looking at? Like, you talking crazy to the kid in the crib? He said, because again, as you get older, your fear turns to respect. I feared my mother growing up. And now that I'm older, I'm like, damn, it made me respect her because I understand it more. And as you start maturing, you start understanding why. Because I kept saying to myself, not only did I not want to let my mother down, I feared the consequences of what would happen if I let her down.
You did, yeah.
So I thought, boys, guys, I look.
I would just want to go back to the point about the communication. I remember you were saying this a couple weeks ago, Q. You said it's about talking your way through life.
Yes.
I can resonate with that because on my journeys and stuff, I'm starting to see communication is really how you excel in life. So as parents, you have to teach your kids how to articulate and get yourself through certain situations and not coddle them and not, they got to just figure it out. So I definitely resonate with the communication aspect on how, like, that can really help a child out.
You saw a good moment the other day with you. The other day, you saw a good moment with Shay when she asked her son a question and you let him actually speak his piece.
I'm big. You know what
I
it
thought
is?
that was dope.
I just didn't have that.
That was dope. We ain't going to rest that. That was dope.
No.
Yes,
that
but
was
I'm
dope.
adding on to that. I didn't have that in my house. And I tell you guys, now at 40, I think, like, me and my dad have the most amazing relationship, but my dad lives in Jamaica. My mom and I are still a work in progress, but I realized that, yes, 40. And you older than me, so don't do it.
Thank you. He always trying to cuff us.
Y'all 1 year
The
older than me.
nerve. It doesn't matter.
Both of
Older's
y'all.
older.
Okay.
So,
Months.
I didn't have that relationship with my mom. So I saw how it made me and what I turned to and what I did when I was younger. And I didn't want that for my kids. So especially, like, we live in a dominantly white neighborhood. So I need to have conversation with my black kids, with my black boys. And my son, who is like the one that's going to be third to Chase, his name is Chase. Let's just stop going by the age.
Yes.
He is one that can articulate himself like no other. He has boundaries that I'm still working on at this age. Like, he does not play with people. And he does not allow people to play in his face or in his space. And that's just, to me, that's the most incredible thing. But I talk to them all the time. How was school? What did you do? How are your friends? Me and my son, we went to eat the other night. It was like 10 something. He was like, Mom, can we just go get some wings? I'm tired as hell. But he's like, just want to talk to you. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So I got up.
Wow.
We went to Croxley's in Rockville Center.
Wow.
We talked on the way. Me and him by ourselves. We sat there and talked. And, he was just telling me what's been going on with him, how he's been feeling, blah, 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 blah. And it's just something that I enjoy. My kids are my best friends, and I just enjoy them. My little one don't really bump with me like that. He is daddy's son, but It's another story.
I will say,
It's another
even
story.
though you might not have reached that magnitude yet, you've helped them get there.
Yeah.
So that's what good parenting is identifying our shortcomings, but not spewing it to the next generation or teaching them the same insecurities we had. Like I taught my son to not care about sneakers. I grew up caring about sneakers and clothes. I raised my son where he don't care.
Yeah, a lot of
I
these
could buy
kids
my
don't
son,
care.
I promise you, he is 23 years old. I could buy him a $20 Reebok. He
He'll
appreciate
wear
it like
it,
it's a
yeah.
$60 or $100 or $200 sneakers.
But it's not the kids, it's the parents.
it.
If you don't raise your kids
Yeah.
like that, they won't be like that.
Yes.
Like I told you, even though I used to give my oldest everything,
Yeah.
at this age,
Yeah.
he don't know. He don't know half of these, but he don't know what these brands are, what's
Yes.
the fly sneakers, what's the this. He doesn't care about any of that. It's all about the parent. We go harder
Yes.
than the kids ever will.
Because
And
it's
then
insecurity.
and
They
it
ever
becomes a
will.
reflection of us, right?
100%.
So we
Right.
are giving them that because we want to make ourselves. We might have some shortcomings that we want to make ourselves feel better, right?
100%.
And Shay, I loved how you just define like how your kids are your best friends.
Yes.
And that's the same way my daughter. It's conversation. Like I want to flip sometimes. I want to go off, but
Yeah.
like if I don't listen to her when she really needs me, she will not come to me.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part. And so
Yeah.
I have to literally turn myself off, sit down and listen. And, you know, it's been busy. She does dance. I'm in a sorority and school and work. So like
Right.
last week we went out. She was like, Mom, I really had a good time. Like we really had mommy, good mommy daughter time. And like to me, like, I don't know about anybody else, but that made me feel whole. That made me feel complete because like that's what it's about. Like they don't care about what we're doing to get them the things that they are provided for
Yes.
or
Yes.
we want to like
Yes.
spoil them with. They don't care about that. They don't
Yes.
know the work. But then there's times where I have what I call a humbling conversation with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you forgot. Let's have this conversation.
Yes.
None of this has to happen.
Yes.
That phone is my phone. You might be the user of it, but it's my
It
phone.
belongs to me.
That room that you sleeping in, the
Yes.
clothes that you're wearing are all purchases of mine.
Yes.
So you're just a user of it. And it's not to tear her down, but it's to humble her that those things are not necessary.
Right.
And we have to get back to the point of having humbling conversations. Q said to me 2 weeks ago, we were talking about our parents, as we always do. And he
Yes.
was saying, did you ever forgive your mother? I was like, no. I just had to understand her. I can't be hell bent on things that happened when I was a child. Me not knowing her experience, what she was going through in her life and in those moments, and say I'ma still be mad, and then turn around and I'm responsible for raising a child. That doesn't make sense. Like, why am I gonna sit here and do that and then turn around and say, oh, but I'm still mad at my mother? I have to raise another child. So I'm not investing my time in saying, oh, I hate my mother or my mother was wrong for that. Once I learned how to understand my mother, I actually became a better mother. And then my relationship with my mother became better. Is it rocky? Yes, because she get on my nerves sometimes. Like, that's what our parents are. But at the end of the day, when I forgave her, but it's a different type of forgiveness because when you forgive somebody, it's not about them, it's about you, right?
100%.
So I had to do that because there were some things that I felt inadequate as an adult and as a mother and as a woman that until I forgave her in that sense of that one little piece,
it's gonna stunt your
then
growth.
I wasn't going to be whole for myself and I wasn't going to be whole for my daughter. And then I wasn't being available to my daughter either if I'm still mad at my mother.
Yes.
I'm still sitting here angry at you and I'm supposed to be raising her, but how am I listening to her and I'm not clearing that air with you? Like
100%.
and that clearing that air didn't mean we had to sit down and talk.
Well,
Because
I
my mother
understand the
probably
part.
had no idea some of the things that she did or said affected me.
Yes.
She may not have even been aware that I was aware of what was going on. And so I'm not going to tear her down about things that she did in her 30s and maybe in her 20s because that's what they did in their 20s and 30s. And I have things that I did in my 20s and 30s that
That's different.
God, I pray my daughter never find out. You know what I mean? Like those are the things. And so I feel like being a parent today, it's really about constantly reflecting,
100%.
holding yourself accountable,
100%.
humbling yourself.
100%.
And, somebody used to say falling on their sword, but Shay, like, I don't know if you do this. I don't know if you do it, Q. I have no problem apologizing to my daughter if I said
I would do it.
Oh, yeah.
that tore her, it hurt her.
I would do it.
Yeah.
I would do it.
And there's been times where before she can even say it to me, I'm convicted.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if I don't fix it, I'm sending another broken little girl out into the world who's on one day become a broken woman. That's how I feel.
I want to get a little vulnerable right now, right? I think the hardest day for me being a father is accepting the fact that my son will never be me, and his job is not to be me. His job is to be a better version. And it took me a minute to accept that. Initially, right, I come from a different background than my son, right? And one day I remember I got so mad at him, I'm yelling at him. And I looked at him and I said, you know, when I grew up, we would say things like, yo, you need a hug. And that was like a joke. And he looked at me and said, yes. And it crushed my heart. Because again, I wasn't raised really emotional. Like what I do now with this podcast is a new version of Q I've developed into. I grew up hardened. I grew up where I couldn't show no empathy or sympathy. I couldn't show it. Because again, it was exploited if you did, where I'm from. So long story short, right? I said to him, do you need a hug? He looked at me and said, yeah. And he started crying. And I gave him a hug. And at that moment, I realized that that's still my baby. And we talking about this big man. But again, he said to me, and then in the midst of the conversation, he said, Dad, sometimes it's hard being a man when you always expected to be perfect. And I looked at him and said, son, he said, what? I said, sometimes it's hard being a man when society always view you as perfect. And he looked at me and said, damn. I said, we both go through it. So I said, I understand you more than not. And I said, trust me, I make it look easy, but it ain't easy. I said, trust me.
I agree with you both. I especially agree when it comes to you saying, you know, apologizing to your children. That's something, even now, because, you know, I'm very open about the relationship between me and my mom on this podcast.
Yes.
I don't think my mother has ever apologized to me in my life for anything that I said she did that made me feel a certain type of way. And I think for my mother, it was always, I worked, I fed you, I clothed you, I put a roof over your head. What am I apologizing for? I never felt safe to have certain conversations with my mother because she didn't, to me, I could be wrong, but I was a child. I didn't feel like that safe space was created. You know what I mean? Moving here from another country, my dad went to prison, moved with my mom when I was 12. She had a lot going on. I'm in a new country. I got a lot going on. I have a lot of questions, and I didn't feel like I could talk to her. Fast forward, as a mom, I need my kids to be able to talk to me because I know how I drifted off just not having someone to talk to. And I'm not blaming my mother. I'm not saying she was wrong because I know she did the best she could. I love her to death, and I know she always has my back. But I wish that I was able to just talk to her. And I think now so more than ever, our kids need us to be in their lives. They need, there's so many outside influences and so many factors that are weighing on them that I feel like we need to create a space where our kids feel comfortable coming to talk to us, coming to have the conversations, as uncomfortable as they may be.
100%.
I don't care what my kids have to talk to me about.
100%.
I want you to talk to me first because I need to know how to defend you against whatever it is you're going through, how to hold you down of whatever it is you're going through. You know what I mean? So I think that's really important. I think being able, if, you know, my oldest comes to me and says, you know, I didn't like when you said that. And I said, well, what did I say? Well, you know, Mom, when I did this and the way you said, you know what? I apologize if I didn't mean it like that. And I apologize. I don't say I'm sorry, but I'm sorry is I'm sorry. But is the BS behind it. You know what I mean? So I try I don't apologize all the time because there's certain times, if it's up to my kids, I'd be apologizing every day. They don't like nothing we do. You know what I mean? But if I did something to truly hurt my kids, I'm going to apologize for it because I don't want, you know what I mean? I'm part of the parenting, know it's hurting your feelings. I'm not going to tell you everything you want to hear. But yeah.
It's weird because like I didn't grow up with my father, and a lot of people are like, yo, this masculine man. I'm like, I had to learn it. And it was rough learning how to become a man because I'm gonna be honest with you, a man only does what he sees, or a child only does what they see. So my reality was my mom was strong, hardworking, very, very aggressive and emotional. And my mom was a hard-working woman, and she was very disciplined with that aspect. But my mom definitely felt the hardship of being a single mother. And we felt it in her anger when she got frustrated. And I didn't know how to basically, to put my emotions in the middle. I didn't know how to balance myself out. I realized later, I started realizing like my aggression came from learning how to be aggressive and angry. And now fast forward, I used to get mad and be like, damn, why am I so upset? And I'm like, yo, I can't even control myself. And then coaches would tell you like, you know, just calm down. I'm like, calm down. I've never seen that. You know, the other day me and her was talking and I'm telling you like, it's hard to learn something you've never seen. And the one thing we have to understand is we automatically assume based on everyone's age, they have the same level of experience. And I think that's unfair within itself, right? You could have had a certain experience. You could have had a certain experience. I could have had a different experience. But at the end of the day, our experiences definitely created who we see today. And a lot of us don't see that our experiences definitely should be respected. And also, like for instance, the one thing I don't do with my children, I don't compare my struggle to their struggle because their struggle to them is hard for them.
Right.
I don't compare my struggle to my children's struggle because I realized my struggle was hard for me, but I'm the one that took the lashes on my back, so they ain't got to do it.
Yeah.
And I said, I've took the beating already. You know, what Hov said, Hov did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. That's what I am. I took myself and said, like you said, lay on the sword. I did that.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? But I had to do that because my children, someone had to move us to the next level, right? So I said, I have to be that person. And it's okay. And I had to accept it, you know. But my mom, she did the best she could as far as with her teaching. The one thing she taught me was discipline. She taught me how to love. My mother taught me how to love. I think the purest love outside of Christ I've ever met in my life is my mother. My mom taught me how to love. And my mom would beat you and then hug you after. You know, my mom was that kind of mother. Like, she'd tear you up.
So who was...
And you know her favorite line was, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you.
Who was a go-to male figure for you growing up?
God. I didn't have any. All the guys I grew up around, I'm not trying to, no one to feel sorry for me. They were bad examples. All the older men in my family, there was not really one. My uncle was close to my age. So my uncle was more like a brother to me opposed than he was an uncle, right? He's only 3 years older than me in school. So he in 12th, I'm in 9th. So it wasn't really, we grew up like brothers. We slept in the same beds, in the same rooms. We shared clothes. So it wasn't really an
He wasn't in a
uncle.
space to provide wisdom.
An uncle is the one who buys you clothes. An uncle is not one you share clothes. But those times were different, right? Your mother probably had a child young. So guess what? Your kids are close in age. It happened normal. Like, I know uncles that are younger than their nephews. You know, so I'm just saying. But again, what I will say is, me not having an example, I've learned, it took me years to learn it. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, being fair to everybody on my podcast and live right now, understand, a man is a thankless job. It's a very, very thankless job. It has to be self-fulfilling. You have to want to do it because you know it's right. This is what God put us here to do. Once you get that and establish that mentality, you stop looking for always praises and being cheered for and everybody rooting for you. As a man, we have to get up and be a provider. You have to know there's certain roles that you just have to do as a man. But a lot of people are running from it and they're avoiding it because they're waiting to be celebrated all the time. They always want to be celebrated. And if you're not cheering them on, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. Yeah, Tyler.
Question for you all. Do you guys think parents are doing a bad job with controlling the way society gets to their kids? Because we see a lot of stuff on social media, the YouTube. Like, I see kids, they're like 5 years old, they need their iPads, they need to watch this. I think that plays a big factor on their development mentally, psychologically, just how they are as people. So do you guys think parents are doing a good or bad job with controlling the way society gets to their children?
They're not controlling at all. I'm gonna be very so from a lot of perspectives, from the school perspective, I'm not seeing it, right? But the school kind of plays into that, right? Because now we have shifted everything to being computer-based work. You submit your assignments on Google Classroom. You know, of course, as a parent, I love seeing her grades right away, and that builds her accountability. But I don't like her on the device, right? Because I don't care how many parameters and all this other crap we can set. At the end of the day, I can't fully control it unless I take it away.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Unless I shut it down, unless ain't no internet, and I don't know about anybody else. But my mother, if we got in trouble in school, she would take the cable cord out, right? But then if she found that we were still sneaking in and watching TV, she would go outside and cut the cord.
Sound like my mother.
Like, she didn't play that. Like,
My
when I
mother's
say
crazy.
there was no TV, there was no TV. Like, I fell in love with Charlie's Angels because she took away my cable box.
Wow.
And I had to watch, basic, gray screen. And I had to figure out, like, what's going on. And I respect her for that, right?
Yeah.
Because when it became to those devices, I approached it very cautiously with my daughter. And it's no coincidence that if you saw the new movie Toy Story, that's what they were talking about. In that movie, they were talking about how kids went from playing with toys to playing with electronics and don't see the value. And we rob them of their imagination.
Yes.
They're not playing to. You don't hear kids talking about they want to be doctors anymore. You don't hear kids talking about they want to take over the world.
Influencers.
They want to be influencers. They want to do and even shifting from sports. I even see parents. If your child has talent, cool. My daughter has talents as well, and I will pour into as much as I can.
Yeah.
But too often, these young boys who are playing in these football, their parents are building them up so they can one day benefit from that.
Agreed.
So they can get that mansion and that good car
Agreed.
and all the other good stuff. But we're not talking about the realities and the downsides of what can happen if you get hit in that first game. What is your backup plan when you go? Make sure you actually paying attention in college and not just letting them pass you on.
Yes.
Right? We're
Yes.
not talking about that. So I couldn't blame the owners and say, oh, society and at the end of the day, we have to remain parents through and through. It's not
100%.
easy. We are all sitting here 40 years old. 40, he's 41. But what I'm saying is we're all sitting here. So we kind of grew up with the technology. I remember when I had my Nokia phone on my hip and I could change the case. I remember when I got my Sidekick.
And I bet you I agree with this, both of y'all. Y'all want to laugh? The one thing a lot of people don't acknowledge, there are a lot of parents that are on the spectrum, and a lot of them was in special education. A lot of people are misdiagnosed with being on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes you expect things from
your... That's where QB going left.
No, it's the truth. You're an educator.
And I will tell you, I just recently was diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm
telling you, there's a lot of people that are on the spectrum that you don't know.
Yeah.
Yep. When you look back in school, like for instance, you, her, and me, we went to 3 different schools. You had a special ed in your school. She had a special ed in her school. I had a special ed in my school. Those people are in society today, and their parents. So sometimes you expect things from your parents that they couldn't give themselves, right? These people learn at a different rate. They don't comprehend certain things. They had to get extra time on tests. And I'm not being funny. And there were kids who misbehaved because they didn't know the curriculum. So sometimes that kid that laugh at you for being smart is because they don't know the answer. So sometimes it's like, damn, I'm gonna tease you because you know the answer, because they don't know it. And that's the reality. Like, it took me years to learn that there are a lot of people, they just don't comprehend the way you comprehend. The way you process, they don't process. The way you learn and the way you can pick up, they can't. So what happens is they become disruptive. Now you have adults who get older, they're still the kid that's disrupting the class because they don't learn.
Those are the parents that show up, turning up at the school, yelling and screaming, and then I have to pull them to the side and say, let's have a conversation. And when I have the conversation with them, what they're not saying makes a lot of sense to me. And so now I have to redirect them and sometimes talk to them like they did have an
100%.
IEP. Maybe they didn't get it. And when I was in school, most of the kids in special ed wasn't in special ed because they had learning disabilities. They were in special ed because they were bad.
Behavior.
Right? And so they were bad. Nobody took the time to really break it down. Maybe they had something going on at home. Maybe they was watching somebody get beat at home and school was their only outlet and their emotions just got all over the place in school.
100%.
We did not there was a social worker in school, but we were all told, I don't know about anybody else, don't you talk to that social worker.
100%.
We don't talk to the school psychologist because they don't come to your house. Hence why I'm now becoming a social worker, because I need people to understand that we can help you.
Yes.
Like, you need the help. The reality is, in our community, there's a lot of people walking around here with mental health illnesses undiagnosed because the stigma was put out there that you don't talk to those people. You don't, and most of them did not look like us. Literally, in my program now, it's only 2 Black people. So if everybody in my degree program to become social workers don't look like the people that we're going to potentially service, we're still not addressing the cultural responsiveness that we need to address. So there's a lot of, the reason why, to Q's point that the parents are probably not parenting the way they are, because they don't understand how to be a parent. There's circumstances that led them to be a parent. I know all of our circumstances are different. So.
But they still have, like, if you look at it, we've acknowledged, let me just say this last thing. We acknowledge that most people in America have a very low reading level, right? So a lot of people can't even process certain words, right? They don't even understand things they repeat. They get their PhDs and doctrines from social media, so they don't know. And a lot of times, most people don't research what they hear. They just regurgitate it. And I'm like, damn, you didn't even go look and see if that was a fact. You, like me, I'm a statistical junkie. Like, I don't just say things I hear. I want to go see. Then I want to know the backstory to why. So therefore, when I say it, I can actually have legitimacy to what I'm saying. Some people, they don't do that. They just hear what they hear. They repeat what they hear, and they go for it. Like, I'll give you a story. One of my guys, real fast, it took me a while to learn that he might have been special education. He just wasn't in the class. Because again, it's not, I'm not being funny. Like, really, like, being honest, he can't process common sense things. And then on top of it, he still has an IQ of a middle school student at our ages. But I've learned that there are people who they just never grow past a certain level because, again, they've already had learning disabilities since we was kids. I'm sorry if I cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just adding to what you guys were saying before, playing a little bit of devil's advocate, where you said society raising our kids on like with the gadgets and stuff. I do feel like, as an educator, I don't know if the same applies to your school and some of the schools that you know, but I feel like the schools also encourage the gadgets because I feel like my kids started learning on iPads when they were like in pre-K. I think my youngest son he writes like, I can't even understand. It's not even like legible. Because they don't teach them, he between the iPad and the Chromebook and then they do library and then they do computers and then they do, I feel like our kids, even in some schools, I can't speak for all because that wouldn't be fair. They're not being taught. We used to have spelling bees when we were growing up. You had to read. You had to write essays. You had to do these things. I feel like now everything needs to be typed. I hear my little one like, Siri, what's 9 times this? Like, they don't have to really do any research. We have to go to libraries.
They can't write
tell time. They can't write. They can't spell.
They can't write script.
No.
And I just feel like
and it's not being taught though.
They endorse their checks with their actual name spelling.
But my point is,
like, wow.
I'm not saying as parents we shouldn't be accountable, but I'm saying here's where I'm kind of going to the schools too, though, where it's like, on the schools, and it's like, okay, but you guys are sending them home with the gadgets. And I do think a lot more now, we do have parents that are, for whatever the reasons, that are working extra in 2 jobs and 3 jobs. And it's unfortunate that sometimes the kids kind of lean more to the gadgets. It's not like growing up where...
babysitters.
Right. That's just what's babysitting them. And I don't know if we can always kind of point the finger, but I feel like sometimes life happens, you know what I mean? And I don't know.
I recently became a New York State parent educator, right? So when I tell you I'm trying to be 10 toes down for my community and I'm trying to transform it and get back to the heart of it, I am. And so I was in a workshop. It was about 3 black people in the room, about 20 to 30 white people. And a question came up about electronics.
Okay.
And it came up like, well, I don't know why people just can't go outside and da-da-da-da. And I'm looking at the other black lady at the table and I wanted to say what I really wanted to say, but I'm in Albany, New York, so I don't want to go there. But the reality is, what if they live in the projects and there's nowhere for them to play outside? What if they don't have that space to play outside? What if going outside is not safe, right? And so parents have now become dependent on those devices as a means of safety, right? And like, that's why I agree with you. We can't 100% blame, but this is why I'm saying we have to get back to the heart of community. If we go, you think about the daycare system. You know why daycare started? Because you work today, but she didn't work on Wednesday. So I'm going to watch the kids today. You going to watch the kids tomorrow, and you going to watch the kids Wednesday. That's how the daycare system started. It was community, people helping out one another.
100%.
Being able to, say, okay, we're going to hold each other down, because there was nobody thinking about getting paid to watch children.
100%.
It was our responsibility as a community to help one another with their children. And then it became a fee. It became a service.
100%.
Some women stay home because they want to be home with their children and they operate daycares, right? But we have to get back to that heart of community. And yes, the schools do overdo it with the devices. My daughter, 13, she cannot have Snapchat. She cannot have TikTok. Why? Because I said anything that deletes a message after 5 seconds, you can't have it. Because I can't trust you.
And some people, as a daycare owner, because I have a daycare, you have some people that from the time you open your daycare, 6:30 till 6:37 at night, and extra hours, they want their kids there. So they don't even spend any time with their children. I'm talking about I will have your child from 6:30 to 7, 8 o'clock, Monday through Friday. And you want to know if I can watch them on weekends so you could go to BRT this weekend. Like, what?
I have the utmost respect because
my
my grandmother.
When you coming to get your baby, like it's
Listen,
been
my
7
grandmother
days.
owned and operated a daycare for my home
crazy.
for 40 years, and that's
It's
why
crazy.
DSS used to beg her to become a foster mother.
I'm
there would
telling
be times I
you.
would wake up and like, why is Johnny here? Johnny was here last night.
You'll be very
And
surprised
because
how many people
mommy
don't
didn't
want
have
to
money
be
feed
around their
them.
kids, guys. I'm telling you, they do not want their children. They will have them kids in that daycare 7 days a week if they can. And I'm really spitting facts. They will have them 7 days a week. No extra diapers, no food. No, I thought you had that. I thought you had this. I thought you had that. And I'm telling you, literally, I am seeing Instagram and you're at BRT weekend this weekend. Like, what is going on?
Because parents don't
You
want
want
to
to spend no
parent.
time with your child.
They just had
Come
a
on.
whole big
It's
old
crazy.
what do you call that?
I'm telling you, it's
what is that? Spring
crazy.
break? They had a spring break in Texas. It was a bunch of grown people there.
Yo, it's crazy.
But you know what it is? Well, me and my boy was talking today, right? And he said to me, because Q, they want to live their second childhood. I said, no, some people have never lived their childhood. I said, so reality is some people are actually living their childhood now. This is why they dress the way they dress. This is why they act the way they act. You ever look at some people, I'm like, yo, you're 30, you're 40, you're 50 years old, and you still look like you in high school, the way you trying to dress. And the sad part is, I'm like, you look like an old person trying to look young.
Jimmy's.
You know what I'm saying? You said it, but I didn't say it. But again, it's a mentality. And then you sit down and you say this to some people, they get offended, and I'm like, yo, you get like you get mad at logic. Like, you ever see somebody, like, you could like have a conversation, and the first thing they do as soon as you say something they don't want to hear, they feel like they're being attacked.
They get defensive, yeah.
Because they haven't grown. Mature IQ is being able to have an intellectual conversation without you processing it with your emotions to the point where you want to argue. Low IQ people, they get very defensive all the time. Everything feels like an attack. It's like, oh my God, you're attacking me. Yeah. Right? I've seen people come into the chat, literally 1 minute into the chat, and start screaming and yelling in the chat. And I'm like, yo, these people, there's something wrong there. That's why I don't entertain a lot of them, because something is wrong with the world today. And again, in order to fix it, we have to identify it. You have people that'll come on and say, why y'all talking about, why you didn't keep scrolling? Why you didn't keep scrolling? It's that simple. You could have just kept scrolling if it ain't for you. But again, they're so into like trying to control that they don't like the fact that they can't control everything. And if it's not controlling or going to their narrative, they hate someone that goes against their narrative. But again, like the best thing a person can do, and you understand as a child, is travel. Because learning other cultures is how you learn how blessed you are, how good you actually got it. If a lot of Americans travel the world, they will see how good they actually got it.
That's a good point, because
they don't travel.
Can I add something before you can you scroll down real quick? I want to go back to that comment.
Dre got to do it.
Dre, can you go back to that? It's a little longer, but I didn't want to pass it because it's just to show you guys a point, and then you guys can have the floor. Someone said, Alicia W6 said, she said there was a girl on welfare, lived right across from the daycare, and because it's city and she wasn't paying, she didn't show up till closing time, and she didn't care because she didn't spend the money. When the government is paying for these people, for some of these women or some of these parents, I promise you, whatever time that they're paying for, whatever money they're giving you, they will not come pick them up.
Of course.
They will not. They just don't want to be, and they're home.
And
some of them don't even work. And they're
I know
home,
you're not even getting that
kids.
payment from the government.
They're not getting, they don't want to, people, there's so many people that do not want to spend time with their children. I don't know if they have kids for the taxes, for the Section 8, for the food stamps or whatever. But I know so many people that will be in the streets laid up under a man doing everything but parenting.
Well, that's why they had the kid.
It's crazy.
There are men and women in society today that had children to keep the man or the woman. And I've learned that.
It was something to do.
There are men and women that had children just to try to keep somebody. I've seen men do it and I've seen women do it. I've seen both cases. I've seen men do it, I've seen women do it. And it's scary that people feel so insecure with themselves that they have to try to trap somebody. Like, damn, you didn't have the person before you had the child. You ain't gonna have them after.
And the only person that's missing out and is messed up in the world is the
that
child.
But you see a lot of celebrity people, I don't really want to say per se the women, but these women will find these, basketball players, NFL players, or whatever, rappers, and they know they're not with these men. But what's the difference with somebody like that or a regular girl that's keeping, Tyler's baby? What's the difference? It's like you're doing that for a paycheck. If you know this person doesn't want to be with you, didn't want to procreate, didn't want a child, why are you keeping a baby? Just because you know you're going to get good child support? So you're choosing to be a single mom. What's the difference?
That's a big if.
Same
from
thing.
State to state, it varies.
Yes.
Your circumstances, a whole lot of factors. I mean, there's been times I work at a charter school, so my students are there from 7:30 to 4:15. If it's after school, 5:15. There's been plenty of nights I have been late picking up my own child because parents come in and, I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, I was sleeping.
Forgot their kid?
Oh yes.
This is crazy.
Yes. I have had to call. I've had to sit there. There's been nights we had a prom and I've sat there until 9:00 at night. Now, again, I have my own child. 9:00 at night. And my child was there with me because she wanted to come and help out. 9:00 at night.
Forgetting your child is crazy.
It happens all the time.
Can you give Lynn Stevens a round of applause real fast? He said, I'm a man. I was single parent of 2 girls and 1 son. I never caught, never caught up in the government system.
Never got caught
I'm gonna be
up.
honest with you. I had my son, raised my son by myself, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Never got any money or anything from the mother, and I did what I had to do. And that's the idea of a single parent. I hate that term when people say I'm a single parent, but they getting money from the other person. That's not a single parent.
But let's not get it twisted, though.
That could be
we should hold people accountable too, though. Don't go thinking that you don't. They don't need to. You know.
That's not the conversation.
Just saying.
That's not the conversation, though. What I'm saying is people say that they're single parents when they're receiving finances from the other parent. A single parent is not plural. It's singular. That's an individual who's doing everything by themselves.
Right.
Right? That mean you at graduation by yourself. That mean you at prom by yourself. That mean you at what do you call that? When you got to go to teacher conferences by yourself. That's what singular is. No income coming in, nothing. That's what I was. I had nothing. Right? I remember I even left a ticket for my son's mother to come see her son. She never showed up. But I don't want to talk bad about her because, again, in the same breath, she had issues that we couldn't see when we were younger. And a lot of us don't know that these people, they have problems. And the other day I had to tell a guy, and he got mad at me. And I want to say this to a lot of guys that travel. When you fly out and you go to a third world country that's considerably poor, and you use your resources to take advantage of women, or ladies, you do the same thing, you're no better than a job underpaying you and taking advantage of you. You're the same crap. You go to fly to these countries to take advantage of these people who you know that are only behaving like this because they don't have resources. So that means you're trash. You're the scum of the earth also. You go into a third world country to take advantage of somebody that you know don't have it, and they only behaving like this because they have nothing. I don't respect people like that. I think that is the low of lows because you can't get this here, so you're gonna go over there and feel like a fake king. A real king, he doesn't have to leave his village to become a king.
Wow.
A real queen don't have to leave her village to become a queen. You're supposed to be able to stay in your village and get treated like the king or the queen that you believe that you truly are.
Yeah, but what's the difference between men or whoever flying to Miami and renting the flyest cars and getting in the flyest car? Because it's the same thing. Like, you don't got to go to Colombia to do that, fellas. You can go right there in Miami. You can go right to Long Beach or the North. You see them doing it all over. I don't think it's just flying out of the country. I think people do that in real life, men and women.
But there are people in America right now who don't have anything just because they don't want to have anything. There are people in third world countries who don't have anything because they don't have the opportunity.
No, I'm not talking about the people there. I'm talking about the people who are doing it.
No, I'm just saying this. There are people in third world countries they don't have because they don't have the opportunity to have. So therefore, those people are people I've sympathized for. I feel bad. Because they're talented, if they're given an opportunity. That's why third world country people come here and do so well in America because all they needed was an opportunity.
Yeah, but you weren't talking about the people. You're saying the people who do it. So I'm saying to you, you don't have to go to a third world country to do that. If you're trying to impress, there are a lot of men and women that do things outside of their means to impress people right here in the U.S. Then everybody is not flying out. So there's no you don't need to waste a whole plane ticket to go do that.
We bring that all back to the children when it's time for prom, when it's time for graduation, when it's time for C16.
The proms are weddings now. They're weddings.
So many, exactly, but there's so many parents who don't have.
I swear my son gonna ask for his prom on the plane because this is getting out of control.
It's like they don't have, and then it's like, you know, we used to go to Davis, Bridal, or whatever, what's the dress shop or whatever, and you get what you get. And everybody, custom-made suits, custom-made dresses, and I'm like, when they gonna wear it again? It's gonna go back in the closet. And it's just like, but what precedents are we setting? Like I said in the beginning, if we're throwing these elaborate baby showers for teen moms, right? That look like mini wedding receptions, how are they gonna know, like, this is not okay? I'm not condemning them. Things happen, right? We make poor choices, we make good, whatever. But we shouldn't glorify that a teen mom is bringing a baby into the world with these elaborate baby showers and then these gender reveals. Like, what the heck is that?
Crazy.
Like, what happens to just, you know, living life and celebrating life where we are, what we are, and then, you know, when we get it and we have it and we could truly afford it, because there's a big difference between spending money and truly affording it and really celebrating life. Like, I love what you said about experiences, because I said to my daughter, real talk, you're 13 now, in a few years you'll be 16. I'd much rather take you somewhere than to spend money on a 4-hour party.
Yes.
And I'm not happy and I'm miserable because I spent all these months planning it. I'd rather take you somewhere. And
100%.
I tell her experiences when she was little and I bought her Skechers. Yep, she wore them light bright Skechers or whatever.
Sound like
and
me.
then somebody was talking about, oh, why she don't have Jordans. Where have you taken your child?
Nowhere.
Right.
Have you taken your child let's start with Great Wolf Lodge in the Poconos. Now, granted, there's a whole bunch. Ask my daughter how many different Great Wolf Lodges she's been to. How many, and I'm an only parent. How many times she's been to Disney World?
Wow.
Every time we've been on a cruise or going places, who's made that happen?
But you know the scary thing about what you're saying is facts? Kids don't remember what you bought them. They remember the experiences that you gave them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Kids don't remember nothing you
Those
bought them.
are core
They don't
memories.
remember it.
Like, I
They
need
don't
people
remember
to
it.
understand. Like, I
I
don't.
played football, you remember. My best games was when my mother showed up. My mother worked 3 jobs. You know, my mother worked 3 jobs. And my best game, I begged my mom one year, I said, Mom, can you come to my, it was, what did they do, the pep rally for the homecoming? I said, Mom, can you please come? She said, yeah, I'm gonna come. Now, I had my best game of my life. I took off my helmet and I looked at my mom. My mom used to always say to me, and the one thing I love about my mom was like, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't feel sorry for yourself. And I think now, all of those crazy parables and those analogies, and it all makes sense. She'd be like, nah, feel sorry when you find out who you are, the world will feel sorry that you found out.
Yeah.
She said, don't do that. And I learned from her how to understand myself as a man and as a human. But the one thing I will say also is the experiences. You know, my mom would say, you know what, whatever we have to do, she'll scrape all year long. She's like, you're not going to have all the latest and the greatest, but I'm going to try to give you experiences.
Right.
She sent me to every camp there was for sports.
Yes.
And I seen places that, it's funny because I had people on my podcast that I actually went to their football camps. And I'm like, yo, I remember going to your camp. And I'm like, you know, and this is like coming from where I'm coming from, that you don't get those
But when you
experiences.
tie it back to those times when you saw something and you knew Toys R Us book,
Yes.
remember we used to all look at
What?
it and you had your list. When your mother
What
said
about
she
East Bay?
couldn't get it, right?
What
You
about East
couldn't
Bay?
get it. But guess what? In East Bay, oh my gosh.
East Bay.
Okay? But what I'm
Remember East
saying
Bay?
is she gave you other experiences
Bay?
though.
East
She
Bay is
gave
a
you
sneaker
other
book magazine.
experiences. You didn't have to you may not have gotten that materialistic thing, but you had an experience. You could
Yeah.
look back
100%.
and your mother invested in you
100%.
the way she knows she should have versus how she could have. Like it's a big difference, and I think we need to understand. And I think that's what separates good parenting from good bad parenting. There's a big difference between a need and a want.
Agreed.
There's a difference between responsibility
Yes.
and accountability. Like you
100%.
have to instill all of that.
But you know,
Q
tomorrow my
said-
daughter's birthday.
It's tomorrow's
And
her
every
birthday.
year since she's been born, birthdays, Christmas, and Valentine's Days, Valentine's Day is my way of showing her how to be loved by a man. So I definitely go above and beyond to make my daughters feel loved, right? But long story short, every year I buy her stocks. Today, which is Monday, which is the holiday or the market to be open, I buy my daughter stocks. This year, we look for the company that's hot. The company that's hot for me this year is, take a wild guess, SpaceX. So my daughter, I buy her those stocks, preparing her, saying that I love you so much that I'm gonna give you a gift that's gonna keep on gifting.
Given, yeah.
I'm gonna give you a gift that's gonna keep on gifting. Keep on gifting. Now the QQQ, the SPY and SBY, that's on the regular for us. But we also catch those growth companies early because they have a lot of time ahead of them. So you know why your children those companies are more like, they're great for us, for your ETFs and your retirement, but children have so much growth ahead of them that you want them to grow with these great companies in itself, right? Playing it safe like that, ain't nothing wrong with that. But also thinking long term for your children.
But like
Those
you
great
guys said,
companies.
though, I agree with the whole experiences is everything is the best we could. And you guys aren't here to see now, but Q has this whole setup for his daughter. It's her pre-birthday, backyard lit. I mean, I kind of want to stay. Like, I feel like one of the kids.
I ain't gonna lie, me
see
too.
the
I was
goodie
looking in the
bag,
goodie
the balloons.
bags. I
It's
saw
nice
the
out there. They got
watermelon,
the pool,
cotton
the
candy.
slides and everything. But I like that because it's like I told you, I was puzzling my brain. My son is turning 13 this Saturday. What are we going to do? I'm thinking, oh my God, I need to go crazy.
Yeah,
and for
yeah.
him, he want all of that. Like, Mom, we got the pool in the back. We got I said, I'm going to bring the hibachi people over and you and
That's
your boys
dope.
will just chill. And that was
Yes.
good because to add to you, my kids have been to Disney and Universal like 6 or 7 times each. Great Wolf Lodge,
Yep.
Split Splash, Hershey. It's like there's so much that you could do. And now for him, he's like, I'm good with just chilling at home.
Yes.
But that's humility.
You know, I love that.
And you know what though?
though?
Even
Yes.
if you wanted to, I always try to tell people the act of extending grace.
Yeah.
I'm gonna allow you to extend grace to yourself that in the beginning you may have been spoiling him because these are things you didn't have.
Yes.
But what you did was right? Because he didn't wait till he was 23 to realize he don't need to go elaborate. He's now getting ready to turn 13 and said, "Mom, what we have at home is enough."
100%.
He good with
So
that. I love
if I
it.
can give you grace and allow you to say, you know what? All right, so I did do that, but there was a purpose. There was a reason why you had to do
Yes.
that then.
Yes.
So now you didn't have
Yes.
to wait until you have to have to
Yes.
sit him down and say, yo, you got to pull, you did it at a time.
100%.
And now he can say, Ma, I'm good.
I understand
Yeah.
it.
And he's not asking you to pull up with an Aston Martin and they live on terrace. No shade. But this is what I'm saying though. Like, that was the whole point of you investing in that and
100%.
giving that experience then so he can have that humbling experience. We could, a hibachi at your house? There's
Wow,
tons
my
of people
mother
who
could
want to
never
do
do
that.
You know how I knew my son, my
My mother would
oldest?
have bust out the walk and she would have came out.
How I knew
With
my
the hibachi.
oldest.
She would have been a hibachi.
She would have been like, here's the sake. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but you know what? I'm grateful that because everything is so expensive now that for me, doing that for him and 10 of his friends for 400
Fire.
beats. Last year we went to what's that jump place? That trampoline place
Bounce?
out east.
I did
No.
Urban Air for my daughter
Not
last
Urban
year.
Air. We did that before.
Okay.
But this trampoline place in Deer Park, and then I took them to Outback, and the Outback bill was like $800. I was like, was it?
Oh, Sky Zone.
Sky Zone. We did the Sky Zone and that. So I like, and don't get it twisted. Like when these kids eat, they're just like getting expensive because they're over there ordering the steak. I'm like, not the kiddie menu. Like, you want an 8 ounce? Like that's crazy, you know. So I am appreciative that he's
I never
humble.
asked Steak
But
Robo.
what I was saying with Q, with my
Promise
oldest, Q knows it. Well, I don't know his dad, but he comes around very flashy, way more flashy than we would like. And for him, he's like, Mom, I don't know why he does all these things because I'm not into the Lamborghinis. I'm not into the Bentleys. Like, I'd rather go in daddy's regular car than to do this because he comes around and flashing these things like I'm supposed to be excited, but you're not even here. Like, and that to me was like a pivotal
'Cause you know what that mean, right?
paramount. I was like, whoa, like,
You know what that mean?
he's noticing.
You know
Like,
what that mean?
What does that mean?
He don't know his son.
Because if he knew, he wouldn't do that.
Because my son, I promise you, my son will get a $400 pair of sneakers and jump in the mud as a kid. My son will get a $20 pair of sneakers and jump in the mud as a kid. My son never gave a damn. I remember one time my nephew, my brother yelled at my nephew for buying, he messed up his Jordans. He was like, yo, every time I buy you something expensive, you mess it up. He looked at him and said, I don't care about these things. You do. You want me to wear it. You want people to see. He started going off. And I looked at him and I said, you see, now at 13, he's telling you.
But that's
he
the
never
reality.
cared.
Most
he
of
never
these
cared.
kids are not asking for these kids
It's
wouldn't
you.
know what Jordans are until we expose
We
them to
expose
it.
to 'em.
So that's only for us. That's only for us, for everybody to say, oh yeah, she take care of her kid. That does not mean you take care of your kid.
My son like
I can see the
Asics.
flyest kid, right? And they behind beat
Look, get
and
about
are
him.
miserable at home.
You see about it?
Yeah,
I agree with
I
that.
agree.
I said it already.
You know who that is.
I said
you
it
guys
already.
think that
It's true though.
So if parents are buying all this designer, because I see it too with my nephew, like she's getting him to Montclair and this and that.
It's projected.
Like,
It's for
projected.
them.
is it
It's
for
projected.
them?
It's for
Like, does it
them.
make
It's for the
them as
parents.
It's for
Yeah.
them.
If-
It's-
if-
what if-
the parents are trying to validate
Yeah.
who they are and who they were not. Okay,
Yes.
because I'm never gonna pretend. My brothers, they
They
love
trying to
sneakers.
dress them like the dudes
but
they
my
want.
brother was like,
Yes.
my brother was like Q. He wanted the sneakers, but he asked my mother. He went and got a
What
job.
you
I
said?
swear to God.
She said they try to do
These
that
mothers
again?
be trying to dress they sons like the dudes they
They
want.
want.
Like,
They
yo,
can't
you be
get,
like,
so
I
you
really
know.
wish she used to wear Montclair, so you buy it for your child and the Canada Goose and the it's
But you know
crazy.
something funny? They dress them like the man they want, but they raise them like the man they don't want. That's crazy.
It's so weird.
Or who they don't want them to
Crazy.
ambition
It's so
to be.
weird.
Like it doesn't make sense. But like you said, like
Because you see these mothers dress their sons and then be looking at them like,
Wow.
yeah, he that dude. He
My
that
boy
dude.
fly.
He that dude.
But
Like,
that's
girl.
insecure because again, she could have grew up where she couldn't have it. I remember when I first got a couple dollars, I went and bought. I had every Jordan. I used to wear a company called Jabot. I don't know if you know Jabot. I used to wear
Yeah,
Jabot.
I remember the Jabot.
I was king of Jabot. They had the straps,
jeans,
on the
yeah.
jeans. Yeah, I had
The
at least
white line.
what?
Jabot
and
was the
then,
ish.
And then my next move was I was a king of iceberg. I was a
And
king of
Coogee.
iceberg.
You got the
I had
Coogee
Coogee
sweaters?
too. But
Coogee
what I'm
was
saying
fire.
is, but again, looking back and being honest with myself, every time I bought it, I kept saying to myself, I can't wait till they see me in it. So I kept it real with myself. I said, yo, I was doing this for
the
them.
appeal. It
And
was
I'm gonna
for
be
the
honest with
appeal.
you. Now even moving forward and having a couple dollars, I don't even wear labels. I don't wear labels. I promise you, I am the king.
Because you're not
of
seeking
blinks.
that validation anymore. But you
No.
also were seeking that though. If I can go into my clinician mode though, you were doing that because you had something else going on, right?
Yes.
Life was lifing,
Yes.
and then you knew your mother was struggling. When you had the opportunity to say, I can do for myself, I'm gonna give myself everything I want, and that's why you started doing it. But now that you don't even have to like work. You choose to work a lot of hours, but you don't have to. And we was making what, $125, $5 an hour. Okay, we wasn't really making that much, but you had to bust your butt to get that $125 a week check, right?
Yes.
To now buy that jabot or whatever you wanted.
Yes.
You don't have to do that now. So you learned your lesson, but all that facade was because of what you was experiencing,
100%.
what you was lacking
100%.
emotionally. Like that's why people do that. And at the end of the day, again, all these adults out here, all the parents that are going through are just hurt little children who never got the validation and the love they needed, whether it was from their father, because we could throw shades and say their father was around, but sometimes their father wasn't around because the mother was annoying, or the mother was disrespectful, or maybe the grandmother was disrespectful. We don't really know, right? And so people are just out here living vicariously through their children, trying to tap into things that may have not existed when they were kids, so they're giving it to their kids, so now they buying it for themselves.
100%.
Like the fact that an iPhone is like $1,000 right now is insane. My joint was tweaking this morning. I said I refuse because it's not worth it. Like, can I call? Can I text? I'm good. But this is the society that we. Again, if we're going to talk about accountability, we can't just point fingers. And I think this is what keep going back to Shay. This is what Shay is saying. Let's not point fingers. It has to be a level of accountability
100%,
that we have bought into it. We have built it. We have sold it. We have done all of it to make it what it is.
So Q, I think you should speak on this because being a high net worth person, when we go in these spaces and these rooms, well, allegedly. But when we go in these spaces, we see wealthy people. They're not wearing.
No, they don't want you to know they're wealthy.
They don't care.
You know something funny?
And hold real quick. Black culture, what they do is they say, "Oh, that's not true." They have the watch. Those watches are assets. They have timepieces, things that go up.
They appreciate in value.
And they're insured.
Yes,
they
that's where I'm
have
about to go.
Insured those things.
Yes.
So just in case somebody try to steal it or whatever, it's covered. We don't do that.
One of the guys who was on the podcast, and I said, broke people.
Oh, thank you.
One of the videos I went in about broke people do this and broke people do that. They get offended. I'm gonna tell you something. You know when I started getting rich, when I acknowledged that I was broke.
Amen.
When I started telling myself my truth, then I started living in it. I think sometimes when I mastered the illusion, and the more I pretended to be something I wasn't, the longer I stayed bad. But the moment it's like basically ignoring cancer.
Right.
It's not gonna go away.
It's a mindset.
Right? And
sorry.
You know what I'm saying? But it is. But again, it took me a minute to learn, like, you know what? I'm not gonna pose in front. I remember one time I was having a conversation with a guy, and I brought my mentor. My mentor is a big stock investor, right? He works for Goldman Sachs, and he taught me stocks. And to the point now I give him gems, and we go back and forth, right? And I have a great portfolio, so does he. But anyway, one day he's in my store, and I'm telling the person next to me, like, yo, this is my mentor, he taught me. He said, yo, we need to exchange contacts. You know what my mentor said to the person? He said, no. And he said, why? He said, because my mentee's next to you. The closest thing to me is him. You don't even listen to him. So why the hell would I waste my time with you? He said, because you already put in your mind, there's not levels to life. You think that you're supposed to go from 1 to 1,000. You want to skip 999 steps, right? And you don't want to go to this next step and then the next step to the next step. He said, you ain't worth my time, respectfully. And I looked at him and I said, you see what I'm trying to explain to you? You're not humble enough to learn from somebody that's doing a little bit better than you, but you want to learn from somebody that's doing extremely better than you. You know how long it's going to take you to get to that person? But you got to go from 1, 2, 3, 4. But they don't look at it like that.
Most people want the reward without putting in the work. Right?
100%.
But that's why I agree with you, Shay, when you said when your son brings home, whether it's your 13-year-old Chase who's bringing home the A's or your younger son who's bringing it to 75, you do need to acknowledge it. Because I'm going to be honest with you, as black children, black and brown children, they are not going to get that in the world.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to pour into our children and to tell them that they're great. But make sure they really are great. Like let's
100%.
let's not get false identity because then when somebody now has to tell them, baby, that ain't good. That's not cute. That's not how you do that. Now they're breaking down and they're crying. So it's very important that you do have to give that reward.
Yeah.
So it builds their confidence. And then so when they don't get it, or they learn how to do it for themselves. Like it makes sense, but you have to do it in steps.
Yes.
You have to make sure they understand. Don't just give and they don't understand. Like everything, you have to explain to them the why.
Yeah.
So often, and somebody said it earlier, do as I say, not as I do is not good. It is not. Because at the end of the day, you need to know why that's not a good thing to do.
Yes.
Like you have to tell children, like, yo, I made this mistake. And that's why I love talking to you, Q, because you talk about what you did wrong. And you're telling the young boy, don't do that. I'm going to tell you because I did it. Don't do it. You don't have to learn from somebody. You don't have to learn the hard way.
No.
We have to remove that from our vocabulary. And that's why our children go out there and make stupid mistakes, because we keep telling, all right, they're going to learn the hard way. I listened to a pastor today before I came here, and he was saying how they went on a trip. His son said he wanted some expensive sneakers. He said, all right, well, we'll think about it when we get back home. Oh, man, I just can't wait till I get my own job.
Yeah.
He said, you're not ready for a job, because if your mindset is only to get that job to earn, to buy something, then you're not ready. So until then, I'm not giving you permission to get a job.
100%.
And when he said that, that made so much sense. But then he said, my strongest response to my son is no.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to teach our children the difference between a yes and a no.
Yes.
We have to literally pour into our kids. We really have to really sit down, as Shay said, talk to them.
100%.
So when somebody sits down and say, hey, Johnny, what's your name? They sitting there looking at them crazy. And people start asking you if your child's autistic. No, they talk, but we don't have conversations.
Yes.
Like, we have to really change the narrative. But if we're not going to do the work, we're going to continue to blame the school. We're going to continue to blame social media.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to blame the society. But at the end of the day, the society starts in your household.
But you don't agree that communication looks like what you're taught?
Absolutely. So
for
if parents are not talking, or if they're arguing all the time, that's what was going to happen. Your child going to go to school and argue with the adult, argue with everybody. And then when they start doing it with you, you're going to play stupid. Like, I don't know why they talk like that. I'm sorry.
You want to know something scary? I was telling Shay a couple weeks back, one of the ladies that work in my, she comes to my shop. She started off in like a juvenile detention center, and she's leveled up all throughout the whole system. So she started in education. Then she went on to like working in like the juvenile system and the courts and all of this. She's a big attorney now, right? But when she started, she said, Q, you know something crazy? And I said, what? She said, what I've noticed, whether dealing with females or males, she said, when they don't have a man in their house, they rebel against structure. She said they rebelling, they cannot take it. She said that when I was with a man facility, the boys always rebel more so against the men. And I said, why do you think that is? She said, because they don't know how to receive a man's voice because they've never heard it, right? So it's like their ears are like plugged to it. And then he said vice versa. The girls, when the girls heard anything from a man, if he wasn't he didn't fit the bill of what she saw as a father, she wouldn't respect him either. She said she would treat him like no respect. And then she said, on top of it, however, they more than likely, if they're in that facility, chances are they have bad relationships with their mothers. She said, so they would take it out on us also. And I was like, which is sad. She said the only time she saw them really submit to more so grandmother figures. And she said that's when she saw them more submit.
I don't know if you agree, but I always tell Q, and this is where sometimes the comments go crazy on me, where I feel like I tell Q that I think it's in every woman's nature to be submissive. I don't think it matters how educated we are. I don't think it matters how we were raised. I think that a woman submits to safety, security, stability. And when I say provision, I don't just mean financially. I mean emotionally, spiritually. I think that every woman has a softness in her. And I think a lot of men mistake submission for control. And that's where sometimes it gets lost. Some, you're right. Some men mistake it for control, where I feel like you can't control.
He's right.
We know who that is, though.
But it's true, though. Read that, Tyler? It's true.
Most women submit to finances.
Yes.
I don't think that's accurate.
I think you're making you the standard.
So, Shay, to your response, we were just talking about this before you came. For me, I was raised by my mother. My grandfather passed away. My grandfather passed away in 89. So I was not exposed to a mother-father dual-parent household. Yes. I was raised by women. Yes. And the stigma of being a strong Black woman. My grandmother owned and operated her daycare during the day and worked at South Nassau Community Hospitals for 30 years at night.
Yes.
My mother got up and went to work at 4 o'clock in the morning. My aunt went to work. So it was literally, we were raised to be independent for the absence of the adults in the household.
Yes.
So for me, real talk, I have no respect for men. And it wasn't always like that, but where it came from was when my father did come back around, I was 17 years old, and I asked him, why weren't you there? And his response, and I told Q this, he was like, oh, well, I didn't have a father, so I didn't know how to be a father.
Yes.
That was the very moment. Up until that point, I always gave him grace.
Yes.
Even when he was never there,
Yes.
I always had that little glimmer of hope, that little girl, like my daddy's gonna come and save me one day because my mom is being mean.
Yeah.
And then when he said that to me, what he didn't know was where he assumed my mother probably instilled in the he-man woman hater, which she never did.
Yes.
My mother never talked about my dad. She was just like, yo, if you want to know, you want to talk to him, we'll make it happen. But when he said that to me, my respect, not only for him went out the window, for every man that had to come across my path, it went out the window.
Wow.
And there's nothing they could do to gain that trust because I didn't know the blueprint for them to gain it. So for me, I honestly say I don't know what it is to be submissive because I have not had the examples. Now, I've had a friend and he knows he played football.
Yes.
His parents and his father just passed away, but his parents were my example. But I didn't live in the household with them.
Yes.
I didn't know what it looked like when they got in a disagreement. Because to me, to understand how to be a wife or whatever, I learned from TV. I'm watching A Different World. I'm watching Martin. I'm watching, Claire Huxtable to me was one of the most dopest Black mothers that could ever be because she had a career. She was a lawyer, but she still came home and disciplined the hell out of them kids.
Yes.
But
it was
I
very
didn't
feminine.
know it. So for me, I can't buy into the submissive idea. And I'm also into the church. So I know what the Bible says about it, but I still can't buy into it because that's not my lived experience.
Yes.
Now, I want somebody to be that provider, to be my partner, but I know it's going to take some work on my part because that's not my lived experience. And I'm not going to put them through the wire and say, you're going to have to, you have to do the work, but I know that's my reality.
Yes.
And so I know it's different for everybody, but for me, it's just different. And I can't really when the man says be submissive, I'm not even listening to that conversation.
Okay, but I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
I just want to piggyback off that question. Do you think every man has the ability to be a provider?
No.
What about you?
I don't think every man has the ability
No, there's a reason why I asked
to
you yes or
be
no.
Financially?
A provider.
If you're well and able, if you got arms and legs and you're able to
think
work,
every man has that
I
ability?
think you should have the ability to provide in some sense. Provide doesn't mean take care of me. I'm not saying take care of me, Q.
No,
I think being an independent woman.
That's not the question. You took it on to a whole nother tangent. That's not what.
Okay,
that's
but I'm just letting you know by provider, I don't mean take care of me.
Okay,
but I
no,
think that
but
if you
do
should
every
be
man
able
has the ability to provide?
Yeah, you should.
But you know why a lot
You
of men
should.
don't have the ability to provide? Because they don't have the mental capacity to provide. There are a lot of women that can't submit because they don't have the mental capacity to submit. That's why when you said every woman can be that's not true. Hold on, let me finish. The way you are raised can alter everything about you as a human being.
Okay.
You can have a dog act like a cat. And I'm not comparing humans to dogs and cats. I'm just using that as an example of whatever you are around, you evolve to, and you are, you become. Right? You can be a 17-year-old bitter young woman who hate men because you were a 17-year-old woman in 17 years being around bitter old women that hate men. So guess what you do? You regurgitate information you've never even experienced. You've never even experienced these things. I do believe this, and I hate to say this. I genuinely believe that most people, and especially from when I listen to women, they have a fairy tale man that exists in their mind that don't even exist. And I've never met him. I've never met him. I'm like, yo, this guy doesn't even exist. But they create this thing in their head. And I think it's social media and television. It's created this persona. Look at the UK. The UK has said they're no longer allowing young minds to be on social media because they're literally getting tainted by social media. Now what's scary is I see adults who are easily influenced by what social media pretend to be, and they think that they warrant that, and they're gonna get that, and this should be my life, and if it ain't my life. But
that's entitlement. We're not talking about entitlement. Being entitled and submitting. Okay, so similar upbringing. I grew up with my grandmother. My grandmother didn't have a man in the house, you know? I moved in with my mom. My mom didn't have a man in the house. My mom and my grandmother didn't teach me how to be a wife or how to submit to a man. They taught me to be independent. My mom worked her butt off. Same PhD, boss. She taught me, like, you will not need a man. You'll be able to tell any man to kiss you, blah, 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 because you this. But yet and still, I feel like when a woman finds that right man, she will submit to a certain degree. Because I feel like every woman has that softness in them. No woman grew up saying, I just want to be strong, independent. I don't want no man. I don't need no man. We grew up in the fairy tale.
I agree with you.
Wanting to be married, wanting to be this. Every girl, we played with dolls. I'm not talking about the new transgender world, and now I'm talking about how we traditionally grew up. It's in us. So if it's in us, it could come out of us. But I think it takes the right person. Just like I'm speaking from the woman's end, you can speak from the guy's end. I think it takes that right man to bring that out of her. That's how I.
Well, again,
what I believe.
I'm gonna say why I disagree is because you see, one day you said a man should take me out of and bring me into my, what's the term? My feminine, right? If a man said that same statement, he would sound so crazy. But if a woman said it makes every bit of sense. That's crazy.
Q, but I'm talking from a woman.
I ain't cut you off. I'm just saying, a person has developed who they are over time. And they're the way they are because they are who they are. Everyone thinks they can do something until they into something. I know dudes that said they wouldn't snitch until they caught a case. Everyone talks amazing until they got a situation. So I don't care what, hold on, Shay, I didn't cut you off again. I don't care what people say when they don't have the circumstance. Every woman that believes that this perfect man would be the person they're going to submit to is the reason why they're never going to get a decent man. Because of the fact that the guy that you're waiting for you to submit to, he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
He doesn't exist.
I disagree.
It's perfect man.
And
like,
I also have to look at it from the perspective of like.
But see, I don't get like that when you disagree or agree with me. What I'm saying to you, it's in every woman that has that submissive quality, and that's what I believe. And no, I'm not speaking for myself
women will never
because
submit.
Some people agree.
I'm saying that if you find
some will, Q, some will. But I think sometimes it takes a person. It takes a certain person. When she meets that person that brings out that softness in her, you'll see something different. You'll see something different.
I disagree.
You will see. You can disagree. It's okay.
Crazy.
Why does somebody have
not
to
even say bring it out of you, but whatever he presents. When Ike said, women submit to finances, that's not true. Not every woman is submitting to finances. You got these new age women that are out here but like I told Q, for every woman who will submit to a finance is a lame dude that's out here spending on her.
Submission looks like what you're taught.
On her.
If you never were taught submission, in most cases,
I like this response. It says submission also doesn't happen for boyfriends, and that's the difference.
Exactly.
Right? We have to but to that point, no. Because but hold on. You can't give every man and you can't give every woman the same blueprint and layout.
You give them the same sex?
No. But let's go forward. But wait, before we get there, because not everybody is doing that. But what I'm saying is, though, we have to have a conversation about our mentality. If our mentalities are not the same place, there's no way I'm thinking about being submissive. I'm not doing that. We have to. There has to be more than just sex, right? And that's what that video that you posted is what she was saying. I know how I became a single mother. I met a man, was dating a man for 90 days, and her outcome was now she has a baby. Yeah. And now she feels like she couldn't achieve what she wanted because she wants a partner. Yes. And so we have to decipher what we want. But that takes some reevaluating and looking at and some reflecting on you. For me personally, I had to choose to not date nobody for a minute because I had to be a mother. My reality is my daughter's father died. Either I'm going to be in the streets and keep doing what I'm doing, look for a stepfather, or I'm going to be a mother. Yes. I chose motherhood, right? And with that came new job, new opportunities, new mindset. And I'm sitting here with you, right? 100%. Because I chose to be a mother. Now, where I'm at now is like, okay, because I've gotten to the point where I'm semi-satisfied where I'm at in life because there's other levels to where I want to achieve. Now I want a partnership. I don't want a boyfriend. Yeah. I don't have time for that because that's too much figuring out what we're doing. We need to come to the table with, we both have ideas of what we want.
Yes.
Now, for me, if we can come to the table knowing what we want, then I can do the submissive thing. Yeah. But if you come into the table with some foolery, I know you're going to agree to disagree. But if you come into the table with some foolery, I'm not even, but based on my lived experience, I have to consider.
Okay.
For me to be submissive, there has to be some consideration, okay? I'm also a Gemini, so there's two sides to me. Okay, so I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna always be transparent. I'm not gonna be that hussyfoot. I'm gonna tiptoe. I'm telling you, I'm coming to the table with what it is.
Yeah, just imagine if I told God, I'll be a Christian when I see you. Imagine if I said that to God. Imagine if I said to God, I'll be a Christian when I see you. When I see you, the day you show me your face, I'm gonna show you I'm a Christian. You sound like a fool. The reality is, you are what you are before someone. Listen, a man that has built himself up, and he's kind of man that these women in particular want, he's not gonna wait to see that. He sees it from day one. Submission meaning, I'm looking to be with a man, and I'm not aggressive. He's not trying to change you. We're not 21 anymore. These grown men who have their life together, they're not looking for projects. They're not looking for people they have to fix. They got to prove to them that I'm worthy of being submitted to. Because they're going to find that person that's willing to do that.
Women aren't looking for projects either.
Okay, I never said that. But again, when you're dealing with people who believe wholeheartedly, just imagine, just look at that same analogy. Exactly. God, I will believe in you the day I see your face. You sound crazy. But yet still, hold on. When you say that, I will be submissive when I see somebody that's worthy to be submissive. Listen, you can tell a very submissive woman. You can tell a woman who's not hyper aggressive. You can tell a woman who's very feminine. You can see it. You can see it. You can see it, right? And if she's not, when she get mad, she will show you her true nature. The aggression has been in that person for 40 years. It don't leave. It don't leave. You get me mad, you'll see every bit of my neighborhood come out of me. It don't change. But you learn how to tame it, but it will still come out when things not going away or I get upset. It's just what it is. A person that was soft growth, they still soft. Right? You can act tough all you want, you're still soft. It is what it is. But again,
I don't got nothing to
you create whatever you want. You can lie to yourself. I know men are not looking for women to fix it and
super passionate,
bring out her feminine. Yeah, because you want a man to work on you. It's crazy. It sounds crazy when you hear that. It sounds crazy. All my friends are millionaires. All of them. They're never going to do that in life. Ever. Because 9 out of 10 of them is lying. They want to be in line for these guys. They don't want the regular. I'm going to tell you something crazy. And I'm going to say something logical. When you take a 40-year-old woman, right? Or a 50-year-old woman, and she's still waiting for the right man to give her the life that she couldn't make for herself, she sounds like a bum to me. That's a bum. That's a whole bum. Because I'm not going to wait for me to get a wife to build myself a home. I'm gonna buy my home, bring my queen to it, and then let her help make it better.
Why are you yelling?
But again, you
passionate.
But again, it's just weird.
It's weird. They saying me and you coming up with the masculine energy.
But
crazy.
See what you're doing is swaying away from what I said. What you're doing is swaying away from what I said. I'm not gonna allow you to do that because what I said wasn't, oh, she's just waiting for the right man to show up to bring out. I am saying to you that women as little. May I finish?
You kept doing that when I was talking. I'm gonna do the same thing.
So go ahead. I'm saying to you, I just want you to feel the same way. I'm gonna talk while you're talking.
Yeah, because I'm gonna do the same thing. Just to show you how you do. You do it every time I talk, but I'm just do the same thing. You don't like it though. You do it a lot.
It's not even I don't like it.
No, I'm just saying you don't like it though.
You don't like it.
You go. So when I do it to you, give what you want back to you.
You go. Like I said, most girls, when we grow up, I feel like we grow up wanting that fairy tale. I feel like most little girls want the fairy tale. You want the marriage, you want the wedding, you want the husband, you want the this, you want the that, right? I'm saying to you that through life, whatever, I'm not saying for all women. I can't speak for every single woman, but I do think I speak fair and clear when I say most of us, we have that in us. We have that softness. And when I say it takes the right person, I don't mean I'm waiting for that guy to bring it out of me. I just mean
Shay initially said
I'm gonna say all. I'm gonna go back to say all.
Women.
All women have that in them.
That's what I disagreed with, right?
But I'm gonna stand on that now. So let me backtrack.
I don't agree
let
with
me backtrack and take out
they
some.
Don't have it.
I think all
you
women.
Said some, I agree.
Okay, I think all women have that potential to submit, but I think to the right person. You have said many times that you have said 90% of men you know are bums. This is what you've said. 90% of men that you know are bums. You know a lot of bums out here, and a lot of men are leading blindly. So 100%. Why would a woman submit to someone that's leading blindly? Why would a woman do that?
Why would they give a kid to this bum and then complain about it?
Okay, Q. Why would you give a kid?
I think the worst thing is
You're
to procreate
absolutely
with a
right.
bum.
Both.
But I think the worst thing to do is procreate with a bum.
I agree with you.
It's the
I agree
worst.
with you. But a lot of times you may get into these relationships and some of the red flags are ignored and some aren't seen. Because a lot of people pretend. A lot of people pretend and they lead with their representative, and let's act like we don't know that. You ain't never knew somebody for a year or something, and all of a sudden they did something like, oh, I never knew this person would. I'm not talking about having multiple kids with them, Q, even before you have a child. So you get pregnant a year later, a year and a half later, you may not have known certain qualities in this person initially. It's like you start dating somebody, everybody shows up with their representative in the beginning. All of a sudden, this man ain't doing the same thing. In marriage, in relationships, and everything, it's not going to be the same further down. Stuff just doesn't work out. Things happen.
I think people ignore the realities. And they try to create something in their mind that is not there. Because you ever seen a situation within minutes? I'm gonna be honest, as men, we get around men and I'm like, yo, come on. And then, like I said, I will never diss a woman I had a child with when I've chosen to have a child with that person. The reality is something about that person was pleasing to me in that moment. So the fact of the matter is that a person that can't be accountable and always blaming the men for being this and that and they were fronting. No, you were fronting to yourself.
Who's blaming the men?
No, I'm just saying, if a person always says things like, oh, the man, he wasn't showing who he really was. And like, come on, sister, that was your bad choice. You got to own it, live with it. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Like, it's you. It's not the man. It's you. If I chose a bad child's mother, that's my fault. I have to own it and live in it. It is what it is. I don't look for trying to change the scenario. What I do is try to work around the scenario and try to fix it and just live in it. It is what it is, all right? You can't fix it. You can't come. I just don't think people lie that long when you end up getting pregnant. That means you get pregnant fast. You get pregnant. I'm lying? Damn. No, sex is one thing, Tyler.
Come back?
Tyler, sex is one thing. But pregnancy is a whole nother ball game. It's a whole nother ball game. You tell me that person lied to you so long and you got pregnant by them? Wow. And there's no accountability as adults. I'm a little scared. I'm just a little scared. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, every woman that turned out to not be good to me, I've seen what I've seen, and I ignored what I've seen because I wanted to see what wasn't there. And I'm gonna hope
that they would become better, 100%.
Right? Every single time
they would become better.
I failed in a relationship. It was my choice. I'm not projecting onto somebody else what I did. It is what it is. You stole, you got caught stealing, deal with the consequences. Your hand is in the cookie jar. Own it.
And you knew some of your stuff was missing, so you should have addressed it, but you didn't address it.
And when I accepted it, guess what? I was messed up at the time. I'm gonna tell you something, I'm gonna be fair and honest. There was a time where I dated women, I told you earlier, matter of fact, I was telling you, I dated women that was very verbally abusive. Because again, I come from a mother that was very vocal. And verbally, it was abuse in a sense. Like a lot of the whoopings that we got growing up was borderline child abuse. It was borderline child abuse. Because if it happened today, if it could happen today, you going to jail, that means it was abuse. You understand? It was abuse. What I'm saying is I accepted women that was verbally abusive because why? I thought it was normal. But then when I got older, I realized that it wasn't normal. But initially, I didn't know any better. So when I got older, I said, wait, in order to have a healthy relationship, I thought initially, the woman has to talk to you crazy.
But what was the turning point when you realized? Was it another a healthy relationship or accountability?
I started being accountable and started realizing, like, wait, the only reason why she's doing this to me is because I'm allowing it. I'm not going to say, oh, she talks crazy. You allow it. You can't sit there and say, oh, my girl disrespectful, and you accept it. You're the problem. 100%. Because nobody on earth can do what you're not allowing to you. If you allow it, of course. But we got to always point the finger, yo, she was disrespectful. No, you accepted disrespect. Get out of here. Stop making excuses. Accountability comes with being an adult.
I think, can I just read this comment really fast? Because you see it too.
Yeah.
These women totally have it messed up mindsets. They really think they could flip a switch and be feminine when they meet a man, not understanding that a man sees her masculine demeanor from afar. I think that's true.
Okay, so first of all,
Thank you. What's his name?
Okay, wait, hold on. I get what you're saying, and I hear what Shay's saying, but I don't know about it. There's no flip switch for me. You have to understand how people's circumstances, and part of the issue too, right, is if we're gonna talk about parenting, we're gonna talk about women, we're gonna talk about life. You have, and what Q is saying that I agree is experiences, right? What people go through in their life make them who they are. They don't have to define them, but it makes them who they are.
Yep.
So we can talk about, and this is what I said to Q earlier. If a man decides he has all these children and decide he don't want to be with this woman, guess what he can do? He can pick up and leave, and that's all on her. Nobody's really, the mom might say something, or maybe the family might talk about him. But at the end of the day, he can go on about his life because that's the choice he made. But a woman has to be strong, and because she has to be strong, and now possibly, I don't assume the role of being my daughter's father. I am her mother first and foremost, and that's it. But sometimes some women they make that assumption that they now have to be the mother and the father. And because she has to do that level of independence and the things she has to get done, now you want to say we're feminine. I mean, we're masculine. That's not a masculine female. Like, you have to understand people's circumstances in life that make them the way they 100%. Are. I don't want to have 100%. To be the provider all the time. I don't want to have to be the strong person. And then somebody else also, when I said partnership, they put a comma, a question mark about that. I'm sorry, but when you step into a relationship and when you decide to get married, it is a partnership. Why? Because you got to sign off for some. You got to sign off for the marriage. If you dissolve it, then it goes through the court system. 100%. There's some money involved in it. So if you don't think it's a partnership, then you're confused about everything. At my age, I'm not looking for a boyfriend because I have my own circumstances. And somebody also asked, "What are my credentials?" I'm working on my 3rd degree, so my credentials are there. But you have to understand that. Who I am, if it presents as masculine, then you must be dealing with some manly women.
It's okay.
But that's not who I am. But my circumstances in life, whether it be my childhood or my adulthood that made me become a mother, it made me who I am. Now 100%. It's my choice to now say, okay, I don't have to be that way. 100%. And that's where I am now at my 40-year-old is now I'm saying, okay, I don't have to be hard. I don't have to be strong. I don't have to function. Because at the end of the day, most people are just functioning in life. People are not really living life to the fullest. They are functioning. When you get up and you do that 9 to 5 routine and everything is the same every single day, it's a function.
100%.
You're not living.
100%.
So for me, I'm choosing no longer to function. I'm choosing to live my life. Now, if that presents as masculine to you, that's your problem. It ain't mine.
Okay.
Blue Flame Goddess 0426 said a lot of older women don't possess the capacity to participate in a healthy relationship without allowing their past to unhealed traumas to cause chaos.
That's a dual statement. It's men and women.
How do you feel about that? Speak on it.
It's men and women.
Like I'm just saying, when a man is looking at a woman, if he's thinking about taking her serious, we see how she operates, how she moves, how she is. You'll see certain things early, and they just don't want it. They're like, I'm good.
No, we want to hear from Shay. No,
I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Because you can see
everyone has baggage. Everyone has trauma. Everyone has something that they've gone through. Everyone has something they've built that they bring to the table. We've all made poor choices. All I'm saying is I've made poor choices. I have 2 kids by 2 guys. When I met my first son's dad, I was in love. I thought this man was amazing. He treated me amazing. He did all the right things. Did I see some red flags? Yeah. Were they super concerning to me to not be with him initially? No. We were together for over a year. The minute I got pregnant, things changed. I told myself I was okay with being a single mom. When he started stepping outside of the relationship, I decided that, you know what? This is not going to work for me. I'm okay with being a single mom. When I met my husband, and I knew then I didn't want to just be a baby mama again. So I told him, listen, this is what I'm trying to do. If you want to do this thing called life with me, this is where I'm at. He decided, you know what? I want to be with you. At the time, my son was 10 months. I want to do this. We got engaged. We had our child. There were red flags there too. And I definitely was like, you know what? No, I have a kid outside of this. I'm going to make this work. this. All I'm saying is, we get into these circumstances and we can't always perceive the outcome, right? And I'm not saying if things don't work, it's because you made a poor decision. Sometimes things just don't work for whatever the reason. But I do believe that, yes, we all have the ability in whatever relationship it is to soften up. Q, you've had different relationships. You have kids. You know the experience. But the person that you're with now, you love. And you feel like outside of everything else you've had, this is the person for you. So I think, I'm not saying there's somebody for everybody and the grass is always green on the other side and we should just all, just live like unicorns and not make relationships work. But I'm saying sometimes that's just how it goes. Like, it's okay. It's okay.
And to tear down a stigma, not and Shay just told her story, but not all of myself. I'm not sitting up here because my daughter's father left. He's deceased. Yeah. So we have to tear that stigma down that every single mother is in this situation because it didn't work out. 100%. So to the person who put that that comment in the chat, you have to humble yourself because that's what's wrong with the Black community. And this is why Black women sometimes respond defensively because you come at us and thinking we're all just laid up and it didn't work out. I'm sorry, that's not my circumstance.
Yeah, but like when you have these discussions though, and I'm just being honest, most women are in line for the same 10% of men. And they want all the same aesthetics. The man that sits the same. If you listen to a woman and tell her to describe a woman, most women would describe the same man. They would describe the same exact man. And I'm just being from my experience of listening to them. And the sad part is those guys are not going to be attractive at all to masculine women. And the sad part is, a lot of the times, even in the shop, Tyler, the women that be talking about the men, these men ain't even looking at them. They're not even talking to them. They don't even try to holler at them. The men that be having on their little fake rosters be men they really don't even want. They don't even want them. Not even a little bit. And I'm like, that's what's looking at you. That's what's giving you attention. But the reality is what you should have done all these years was built something with a good guy who loves, respects you, and you could have gave yourself the lifestyle that you really wanted. But a lot of times, most people are looking for the finished product, right? And the finished product is looking for something that's starting as a product. Most older guys are looking for a lot younger because they don't want a finished product.
So you saying they want a prefab, right? So you know those buildings, you know that it comes constructed and everything. All you got to do is move in, right? And no, you want something that all you got to do is move in. Everything is functional. Everything you got to do is already together. But at the end of the day, that's not. I mean, and I don't know if Shay agrees, disagree, but I think what she's saying is like, we all go through things. We all have experienced things. We all have seen things. This is our reality. And she's saying from her experience, she wants something different. She saw the signs. She don't want that. And that's the same thing for me. Even though my daughter's father's deceased, there were, like you said, there were signs that I clearly saw. But I chose not to acknowledge it because why? I was happy. Yeah. I had a boyfriend, and that's part of the reason why my mentality switched. I'm saying I don't want a boyfriend because look what, I'm not saying his death is on me, but look where it got me. But at the same time, if I'm gonna look at it from a good perspective and switch my lens, there's so many blessings that came out of that situation. Yeah. But it also gave me time to see what I really want, what I bring to the table. Yeah. Because if I'm always going at it of what he can bring, I'm gonna always come up empty.
But you know what's scary though is like And my fear of listening to like a lot of my sisters, the way they think, is, you know, there's a chart that just came out the other day. For those who don't Google nothing besides what they want to Google this. It says by 2030, about 50% of women will be single and childless. And the reason why I think so is because so many women are in line for the same guys. You could have a guy that has $1 million, right? They will literally take a man with 7 kids because he's a millionaire. But a guy that's building himself up that works, let's say a bus driver, I ain't messing with him. And I'm like, damn, that could be the better man than out of the two. But you looking at just the resources that he's accomplished. What my fear is that so many women really haven't built themselves to where they want to be, and they genuinely believe that the man is supposed to come and meet them and give them the life that they really, really want. And that's my scarcity. I'm not raising my daughters to think like that. I'm raising my daughters when they're young. What a lot of older women don't do, they don't tell these young girls, yo, find yourself, while you in your prime time, and right now you're in college, these are the times where you're supposed to be looking at a good man. But I think a lot of them don't do that. They tell them, girl, worry about your career. Oh, you got time. And then you're 40, 50, and you mad at men. But you were thinking wrong. And I'm like, yo, it doesn't work out that way in most cases. There are exceptions. There are women who get married at 50. There are women that get married at 60. But if you did the overall, there are more men that get married at 60 than women at 60. There are more men getting married at 50 than women at 50. It's just what it is. We have to understand, I'm not gonna lie to my kids to fit my narrative. I refuse. I'm gonna tell my daughter, listen, you're born with value. So when you're young, what I think you should do is look for the right person. Don't date intentional. Date very intentional. Don't just be out here running around having fun, right? Date intentional, and understand that eventually that hot girl summer leads to cold girl winters if you ain't doing what you got to do while you young. hot girl summers equal cold girl winters if you ain't doing what you got to do now.
You know, I was talking to one of my friends. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and he is 35-year-old chief of a fire department, young, successful black man, right? Handsome guy. And he recently got out of a relationship. And he said to me, he said, you know, Shay, he grew up with both parents in the household, went to Catholic school from he was in pre-K all the way up to his time for college. And he said his parents, his mother and his father, never taught him how to be a husband. The lesson in the house was not about raising him to be a provider or to be a family man. It was more so not to chase these women, chase your education, chase your career, not to do that. So I feel like it goes both ways. You can have a 2-family household where you're not being raised like that, where you're raised, listen, don't chase these little fast girls, don't this, work hard. Men and women can be taught the same thing.
But it's wrong when it comes to women because of the fact of the matter is, as a man ages and he starts getting his resources together, his value goes up. So now what he can do is he can get married at a later time. He can choose later. He can date later. And I'm not trying to diss women. I'm just telling the truth. There are a lot of women, they might be exceptionally beautiful. And then the women that aren't, they feel like they can get the same luxurious lifestyles as this one. And then they feel they can get the same thing. I'm like, you a 3 compared to this 10 and you want the same thing. And I'm being honest with you. Men don't see them the way, and it's not fair, but it's just what it is. I don't come in here, I have my situation, but I just tell the truth. Men, right? They look at a lot of times, a man has to earn his value. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. A woman in most cases is born with value. So therefore, when a woman gets older, she loses value to men in the dating world, not to herself, in the dating world. So when a man is getting up, more women find him attractive because of what he's accomplished. Men don't really care about accomplished women unless he's looking to live off that accomplished woman. But men that have their lives together will date a McDonald's employee because they can care less. They can care less. They care about submission, how sweet she is, how she make them feel. They care about those things more so. They're not looking from afar like, she shows masculinity, but I can make her feminine. They make them like, man, I'm 40, 50 years old. Get out of here. Back going with herself.
I think a lot of men mistake independence for masculinity as well.
I was getting ready to say that too.
I think when you're strong and independent and you're firm, I remember Q, you sent me this list. It was like of masculine and feminine or male versus female. And a lot of the qualities I said, but they say that's being strong, having good decision making, being able to protect, being able to provide. Why does that make you masculine? Why doesn't that make you a strong female? What exactly do you mean by masculinity in a female? Because I look at that as just being combative, being just totally, that to me is like, okay, she really giving male energy. Like I could do everything a man could do.
You know one of the sexiest things about a woman? For a man that's pursuing the best version of himself, Shay, it's a woman that has something called emotional maturity. One thing that's sexy about my girl is she has emotional maturity. Because when you get mad, that's who you really are. Of course, if I'm catering to every need and you're happy, of course you're the beautiful woman. But let's see how you react when things are not going the way you want.
That's what makes masculine. That's how we react when we're emotional.
That's masculine. I see that's childlike. That's childish behavior. Like because children can't control themselves.
From a woman's stance, they feel like they can jump up in a man's face and they feel like challenging a man for all the wrong reasons is healthy. I'm like, you're challenging him for the lifestyle that you want.
I think for me,
if I could pay the mortgage, I could pay the bills, and I can keep us safe in a safe situation, I've done my part as a man. Because most men will never meet that level. Most men will never meet that level. I'm just calling it what it is. So the fact that this man has gotten there, he is the exception in a lot of men.
You know what it is, Shay? It's the ones who are not, okay, they're men by nature, but they're not men by standard that are saying these things. It's not all men like Q. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I'm going to take it personal because it's the men who are not meeting the standards that you're talking about, Q, that are calling women like myself and Shay, she is her own, she's a business owner, she's an entrepreneur. Yes. That's what she just said, that she has masculine energy. Yes. But if she runs her own business, that means she's the what? The boss. She has to come to the table at times when it comes to her business with a different set of a mindset because she has to do it. Now, sometimes the problem is when we are women, and as me as an only parent where I have to hold things down, when it's time for us to have to just be women, sometimes it's hard to flip the switch off because these are our responsibilities. And this is what I'm saying. We have to stop grouping everything and just saying, oh, you're this, you're that. Are you assessing what we're going through? Are you looking at our experiences? Are you trying to understand? Or are you just trying to add a label? So to your problem, I can understand what you're saying when there's a man who is where you are or building towards where you are or have those things. But it's the men who ain't even, again, a man by nature that are labeling or mislabeling women like myself and Shay as masculine. That's my issue.
But here's the issue. Like, would you say, you just said it a minute ago, when a woman's younger, she has her highest value to find her husband, right? Would you agree? At a younger age.
So I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
But I can say...
Hold on, I just want to go to my point first.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to tell you why.
I'm going to tell you, in most cases, men view youth as more attractive than older. The issue is when you're dealing with women who are now transitioning to becoming those older women, they think they gain value like men. This is why I tell you they think masculine. When you are a man, you realize by building yourself up, right? You're gaining your value by being able to provide, protect, and give security to a woman, right? But here's the issue with a lot of women. The women, they become more mature. Yes, they can take care of themselves. Yes, they can provide. But they have no intentions on whatsoever taking care or providing or protecting a man. They have no intentions with what they've created. So why would a man value that when he knows wholeheartedly she's not going to share this with me? So why would a man think like that? Only a delusional man would think like that. When you've built yourself up because you want to take care of me. Yeah, right. You want to take care of you. And that's who you care about. When a man builds himself up like that, we care wholeheartedly about taking care of our families. But the women, they're not looking to take care of no man. She'll take care of her children, but she does not have no intentions on giving no man no grand lifestyle.
But we gotta go back to the why. What were they exposed to? What was their upbringing? And that's what I'm saying. Like we keep missing that part of the context. We can keep putting everybody in one category, but then you have to start breaking it off to different branches, because if you look at it from a cultural perspective, right? If you look at it, different demographics, there's some Latin communities where those young ladies are groomed and taught from childhood to be submissive, right? Mm-hmm, that is their culture, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what you have to look at. We have to really, it's great to have these conversations because now you have to dissect everything and everyone. We can't keep grouping everyone and saying man and woman, because the man that you're talking about may not be the men that I'm seeing, right? May not be the men that Shay's seeing, but we may know those men because they may be our friends, they may be our colleagues, they may be family members that we know who meet that criteria, but that's not the ones that we have access to because they are in those certain boxes and zones that we don't want to, venture with them. So we have to understand that you also have to break down the cultural context of it and stop just putting everybody in the box. And I think that's the problem. Everybody is just saying man, woman. Okay, now from there, break it down. Look, you have to dissect it.
I met my woman. My woman owned her own home. I own my own home, right? I saw feminine. My woman is strong but feminine. She's strong but feminine. There are a lot of women nowadays, they're strong and masculine. Their aura is so manly. They can't see it because they're so used to being the way they are. They can't see it. They can't see it. And I'm like, yo, you're very masculine. And you can tell. Like, for instance, my girl will say something like, we'll argue. She don't go to that level. You know what I'm talking about, how men will go with each other. There are women who literally go to those same levels when angered. And it shows and it spews out of them. You're not gonna.
But
and
again,
so that's your own definition of a masculine
woman. But I'm
woman.
saying masculine men are not attracted to that.
No, but I'm asking you a question.
It's like sleeping with a dude.
I'm just asking you a question, please. I'm asking you, is your definition of a masculine woman someone who, when you get into an argument with her, her emotions is what makes you determine her as masculine? That's it?
Oh, no.
That's what
Okay,
determines
let
a
me answer
masculine,
this.
because I'm
Can I
just
answer?
trying to comprehend.
Okay, the number one love language for a man is respect.
Okay.
When you upset, you are literally taking away his number one love language, which is respect. Because if I'm upset, I'm not going to stop providing for you. I'm not going to stop protecting you. And I'm not going to stop giving you security. If me and you are a couple and we're out to eat, and yet and still somebody just disrespected you after an argument, I'm coming running over to protect you. But the issue is when you get upset, you alleviate the respect because of your upset. So therefore, these men don't want to entertain those women no more. They realize that respect only comes as long as I'm giving you what you want.
Okay.
So it comes at a condition. So therefore, men are not entertaining it anymore. And I'm telling you how they think. Why do you think all the guys are agreeing with me?
No, I can't agree with all those guys in the chat because they could be you.
Yeah, I don't
you
care
could have
what these
somebody
people
sitting
agree
there.
with.
They can
I'm
be
just saying-
burnt.
I'm telling
They
you
can
how
be
men
on a
think.
train.
I'm
They
just
can
telling
be
you how men
whatever.
think.
So I can't.
But men think like this.
But Q, you know how you, because if women agree, then you'll say, well, that's because
No, that's not what I said.
Because her
I
baby
just
daddy
said,
said this, her baby.
if you got 1,000
but let the men agree
men
with you, like,
saying
okay,
yes.
Now, see, I
that's
signed up
okay.
to talk about
1,000
accountability with
men
families.
saying yes. But again, I'm the only one sitting right here with a penis. I'm the only one. And I'm telling you how we think. And you could try to take a jab. That's low intellect, but I'm just saying.
I
Not low
appreciate
intellect.
it.
It is.
I'm just
Not
That
low
was,
intellect.
a corny shot, right? Because
Not the low. All right, don't drag it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
I'm just saying, hold on.
Keep talking.
I'm sitting here telling you, right, simply, men, watch how you behave when you're upset. That is the challenge. When you get a man upset, what do, Tyler? What do, Tyler? They go crazy, right? So if a woman goes there and thinks she's feminine, she smoke every bit of something she should never smoke.
And I hear what you're saying, but
It's crazy.
But again, it's mindset and choice. Because see, for me, I told you I don't argue with people. I don't do all of that. That to me, I'm not doing that. So I'm not matching your energy because it's not for me. It's the reset that I can't handle.
Yep.
I'll sit on that for days and weeks and be mad that I came out of my character like that. So for me, I'm not doing that. And if I'm around somebody that keeps pulling that out of me, I'm not going to be around you.
Yeah.
So I do see women like that. I do know women like that. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what somebody just said about the generalization. I think we have to kind of sway from always generalizing because I don't want to generalize you as well. I will tell you you're a different breed.
I appreciate
But
it.
I'm not going to always, you have to put it in our perspective and how we feel that you can't generalize us knowing that's not me.
No,
I'm
I
not
agree.
checking off those
But
boxes.
what I'm just saying is, men, we view how you act when you get upset.
And I
we pay
respect
attention
that.
to that. Because I just said to you, if me and you mans, you get upset with me and you violate me, we gonna still be mans?
100%.
No, I'm just saying you violate me.
No.
So what I'm trying to say is that you're the woman that she say, I love you, I want to be with you forever.
Your girl, your
yes,
wife.
you love me. But as soon as you get mad, you violate me. And guess what? It's like basically if I bought you a gift, and then when I get mad, give me back my gift. That's my love language is respect. So as soon as you get upset with me, you take back my respect. That is not love.
But you know what's so unfair?
That's toxic.
You talk about what the women do, but you don't talk about what some of these men bring to the table. They'll bring you chaos and want you to give them peace. A lot of time, women are either multiplying or subtracting what you give us. The energy you bring to me is the energy that I'm giving to you. It's like you give a woman a house, she'll build a home.
I think you will.
A lot of women, but
I think you will, Shay.
And a lot of these
I think
women
you
on the
will.
chat and a lot of women
I
in
think you will,
general,
Shay.
you think that women, it's in their nature to just
I
be
think most
combative
women
and
nowadays are like
argumentative.
this, Shay.
That's not what
More
it
women these days
is.
are like this, Shay.
That's not what it is. Like if
More
you're gonna
women these
talk
days
on
are like
women,
this.
since you know so much about women, talk about the men too. Because it's a lot of y'all
Well,
not bringing issue
yeah,
to
look,
the table, but y'all
you
expect
ain't
a lot.
funny? I talk
You
about women. What I
expect
said
wife-
was what men look for out of respect. Though I've been talking about that for 10 minutes.
but that doesn't
Hold on,
mean
yes or no?
masculine energy.
But wasn't I just talking about that for 10 minutes?
But
I've been
that,
talking about
you
that.
said
you
masculine
were talking about
energy.
respect, but we were kind of tapping
yes,
into the
we went
masculine
somewhere
energy.
else. You said masculine
Yes.
energy is just emotion, but I'm saying a woman should never
that's when you
have
show
to
your masculinity.
apologize for being independent, being strong, being hardworking, having an opinion. Women can hold down a house just as much because you have a lot of women out here that are single moms, single females that are doing their thing. So that woman, when a man comes along, she's not going to just automatically
percentage and make it
soften up. She
standard.
wants to know what you are bringing to the table as
crazy.
well.
But
She
you
does
take-
want to
you
know
take-
that.
You take like, I could take the small percentage of men that are very, very, very successful and make that the standard. We'll have a great conversation. But the reality is that's not most people. Believe you me, you have more women looking to depend on men than not. There are a lot of women doing their thing, Shay, but that's not the mass majority. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to call it what it is. There are a lot of women who actually do right with their lives, who are not hoes, who are not promiscuous. And the sad part is, y'all literally be taking up for those girls that y'all know are not like that. Most women don't even like each other. They don't even like each other. Look, I'm sorry.
And then compete with each other.
They compete with each other too. I tell the truth. But guess what? A man saying it, he's the problem. It's the truth. Y'all can't stand each other. Y'all got this fake womanhood going on. My sister, if she's in a fight, we're jumping in. Come on. And then talk about it after. You ask any man on my live right now, as soon as your woman get mad, she tell you
we're not
about
asking
friends.
any of them men on your live.
I'm like, hell yeah.
I got a question for the two black women. So you said something. You said other cultures, as in Spanish, they teach their daughters to respect men. So now I see a lot of black women. They get frustrated at black men for not dating black women. But it's like you just said, other cultures, they're teaching their daughters to be submissive, to respect. So why is it that black women get mad that they don't want to date?
Because they want.
Can I ask you something,
they
Tyler?
Did
your parents teach you how to? Did your parents teach you how to be a husband? And was that something that you were taught in the home?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. Like,
okay, so a lot of black cultures, that's not how we were taught growing up. Period. So it goes for men and women. Yeah. Like, we were not taught how to, this is how you treat your husband, this is how you treat a wife. Like, that goes for men and women. So why do we get so bashed because we were taught to be independent and strong? Like, what are we doing wrong?
Most men are
but you see how you just did it? It's that you guys, right?
What are we doing
it's that generalization.
You just
don't
said
laugh.
That Spanish women,
No.
they're taught Asian
you asked
women,
me a question,
Indians,
I'm going to answer it for you, right? But I'm going to always go back to the why, right? Why were they taught that? What are we looking for? What was the reason? I'm not Hispanic, right? But I have friends where we've had conversations and their parents and they have told me, and like they have sat in this, and my mom literally has groomed me to do that. Let's go back to little girls and dolls. Why are little girls given doll babies? From little babies, they're given babies because they're trying to ingrain us to be mothers. They're giving us dolls to be mothers, right? To be caregivers, right? That's the mentality. That's what's being ingrained in us. Just like with boys, you're given what? Trucks and cars and stuff like that, right? You're not given a house. What, did they give you a dollhouse? Did they give you a dollhouse? But you're expected to be the provider and take care of it, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is we got to get down to the why of everything. Culturally, I only brought up the Hispanic community because that's one of the most ones that we all know. We all have had friends and we're like, yo, your girl be holding it down for you. And I'm just like, well, I couldn't do that. But I'm going to tell you why, because that's not what I was taught. That's not what I was exposed to. Doesn't mean I can't change. Doesn't mean I'm not flexible. Doesn't mean I'm not amiable to buy into that or become that woman. But to Shay's point, we don't sit and literally say, here is the man of my dreams, and I'm now going to become the woman he wants. That's not what, but that's how it's, no, wait. That's how it was interpreted. Wait a minute. That's how it was interpreted when she said it, but that's not what she means, right? We're not contemplating, but you have to understand my survival skills where if I have a child and my responsibility is to take care of my daughter and I introduce this man into our lives, for me and our lives, because it's not just my life I'm thinking about. Yeah. I'm thinking about me and my daughter. I do have to think about what is the risk that I'm bringing this man into my household, that I'm bringing him into my fold, because it's going to impact her. Right? We always talk about how people, molestation or all other stuff. That's one of the first things I think about when I'm dating some man, making sure I don't expose my daughter to none of that. Safe. To make sure she's safe. So that's one. But then what about her financial well-being? I have to think about that too. So it's not just, and that's why I said for me, it's a partnership, because I'm not just bringing myself to the table. I'm bringing a whole nother human being to the table. 100%. So you have to look at the why in my situation, in their situation, in her situation. So for me, I do have to think about what are you bringing to the table, because there's another person that can be affected if this don't work out.
Can I ask a question though? And I'm just being fair. Like sometimes, like when we do this podcast, I tell the truth a lot of times and it gets defensive. And the one thing I want to say is, honestly, there are a lot of situations where I don't hear people blame themselves for the choices they made. I just don't hear it. I don't hear it. And I'm going to say this on record. There are a lot of black women out here, to my black queens, give them a round of applause, who are out here getting their degrees, educating themselves and building up their lives and carrying a lot of their responsibilities. Their responsibilities as grown-ups. You shouldn't want an award for participating in being an adult, men or women. We are grown as hell. There's no way you should be wanting a medal for being an adult. You had your many years of being a child, and now it's time to adult, right? It's just what comes with growing up. But I will say this, and if you choose to not, quote unquote, date anybody and you're alone, just understand 100% of the burden is on you. I'm just saying, you got to understand what it is as an adult. But one thing I want to say is this. When I listen to these conversations, it makes me laugh because I'm baffled. Because the reality is, once you've come from a certain situation, that's usually what you are and who you are, right? A man from afar can see a woman and her feminist. You can see a very feminine woman. Y'all can see very feminine, soft women. We can see it. Especially the years of experience, you can see it, right? But again, in most cases, I don't think a man is gonna stick around until you learn how to be feminine and submissive, just like a woman in most cases ain't trying to stick around until a man become a provider. She's gonna be like, I'm good. It's the same thing. So when they don't look at it from that lens, you only look at it from one way, I find that diabolical, right? Reality is a woman is in most cases, she's gonna complain about him not being a provider. I think the men that aren't great providers are gonna be willing to take on the women that are not submissive and argumentative. They're not gonna take them. Because I think a lot of times, I hate to say this, for me being a black person, a lot of our culture don't know how to know the difference of being challenged healthy and being challenged very, very toxic. In most cases, we challenge very, very toxic. Mm-hmm. It's very toxic. And they think, I'm making him step his game because you want more. You want more. You want him to do more because you want more. When you're not looking at, you should be going to get it yourself. I'm not going to complain about my woman not giving me the life I want. As long as she can help me maintain, I will go get the furthest. I want more appetizers on the plate. She cooked the greens, she cooked the macaroni and cheese, and she cooked the main course. I want more apps on my table, so I'm going to go get it. I'm not expecting my woman to go get it for me. I'm not expecting that. And that's a problem. You want everything on your table because you want somebody else to go get it for you. That's diabolical. I'm sorry. That's diabolical. Diabolical. I'm sorry. If we got a car and you want the Benz in your driveway, then you know you got to do more work. Mm-hmm. Because again, having a home, having a stable situation, that's the American dream. But wanting more is because I think it's because of social media. I'm being fair. I think social media got everybody discrediting everybody. Right, I'm just being honest. All right, and you got anything you want to say before we got here today?
This conversation went to the left.
It did, but it was beautiful.
Because I definitely didn't sign up for this conversation, but I appreciate it.
Don't touch
because
me.
It was two different perspectives. Well, three different perspectives, to be honest with you. And I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Tell them where they can find you at.
Not doing that yet.
Okay. It's up to
No, it's all right.
All right. What you got to say before we get out here today?
Jody said I was quiet today. Ladies, being strong and independent isn't a deficiency. It is an inadequacy. Own it, love it. You don't have to be combative. But again, we're not just out here submitting to any and everybody. That's not what we're doing. And just own who you are and stay true to who you are. It's okay. Everyone doesn't have to agree with me. That's all right. I'm strong. I'm independent. I'm never going to say I don't need no man, but I do need the right one. So if that's not you, that's okay too. You know what I mean? And forward we go.
That's it.
But
forward we go.
I just want to say this, the term submission, a woman is not going to wait till a man to become a provider before she marries him. Just like a man is not going to wait to see submission before he marries her. And that's what y'all be sounding crazy to me. I'm just going to be honest, ladies. Y'all be sounding crazy when y'all say that. You're not going to wait to see, I want to see a provider before I marry him. Like, come on. So the same way as a man is not going to wait to see submission before he marries her. He wants to see it, right, before he marries her.
Let's just be real quick. Women only say that because that's what it's a trend to say that. And I think we have that's another conversation. A lot of things that are coming out of people's mouths is because it's a trend. They think it's cool to say. It's not because they have background knowledge. You think about the word narcissist. You hear people throwing that word around like crazy, but real talk, as a clinician, it is a diagnosis and a DSM-5 book. So please stop throwing it around so lightly because it's not that. So we have to realize a lot of things are being said down to submission. And this is why I said I can't subscribe to something that I don't know about. I've never seen. We have to stop using things so loosely because it sounds cool so we can have a conversation when real people are not having conversations. Half of y'all in the chat could never sit at the table to have the conversation.
Agreed.
That's why you're sitting online and having a conversation because you're not prepared to be able to hear what you agree and disagree. I'm the type of person that comes to the table prepared to agree to disagree. And this is what I've told you from day one.
Agreed.
I'm never going to come to the table expecting to hear exactly that you agree with me. I want to hear your perspective because that's how my knowledge grows. And that's how we have real dialogue. I don't want to sit next to somebody just saying, oh yeah, I agree. I don't want passive people around me. So at the end of the day, and then I also have a children's book coming out tomorrow on Amazon. It is called What is Your Superpower? It's about children who have ADHD. So all of those people who feel like I don't have no skill set, I do. Yes. So have a great day.
Listen, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. The one thing I want to say about both of my ladies here today, this conversation is very passionate. from my end, from her end, and from her end, because we genuinely do care about the culture. And sometimes people misconstrue it or it triggers something in a person, which I don't really care, because at the end of the day, you can say Q is this, you can say Shay is this, you can say all of us are something, right? But the reality is one thing you should understand is we're passionate. We genuinely care about helping the culture. Some people aren't mature enough to have these conversations without insulting and being disrespectful. Okay, today Shay's the enemy. Tomorrow I'm the enemy. I don't care. But guess what tomorrow we're going to do? We're going to stand on what we think. Business. Listen, it is what it is. But she says how she genuinely feel. I say how I genuinely feel. She said how she genuinely feel.
I keep telling them, I think y'all think me and Q hate each other, but we talk every day. Like tomorrow, we're going to be on the phone.
And we argue when I don't agree with her.
Just talk it. It's what we do. So on here, don't take it personal. Like, we going to get over it and life is going to go on, you know?
And that's what I try to explain to people. Dialogue, especially when it's uncomfortable conversations,
don't do that shit.
They trigger emotions. And where there's emotions, there's a means and an ability of change. So sometimes feeling away can help you change. So learning, ladies and gentlemen, that these conversations, more people need to hear it so they can actually reveal and heal their traumas and their past scars. Because there are a lot of people right now who want the best people while being the worst people on earth. There are people right now who are financially insecure and insecure, but they want a person that is very secure. There's a person that is lazy as hell and want a person that is rich as hell. This is a mentality in itself that is delusional. And when you sit down and listen to these mindsets, is the reason why Black culture will continue to be at the bottom of the barrel economically. Because of the fact that we don't see that families is what create wealth. And until we learn how to build back families, we're not building any wealth.
Somebody told you to end with your record.
So next time, guys, don't let that go over your head.